We are live. Welcome to Left Coast Live. It is Monday, January 27th. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, joined as always by Stat Pat, Stateless Patriot. We are California lefties talking to you about national politics, all sorts of chaos going down across the country. Stat Pat, what have you been discussing on your stream thus far?
Oh god, a whole lot. I do want my stream to let me know if they can still hear me. I'm pretty sure they can because Dieter's StreamYard, like all my audio is showing up on his end. Looks like it's good. Megan says, "Let's go." Um, well, so, oh my god, dude, what a fucking whirlwind of a week. We started off talking a little bit more about Elon Musk and his history of Nazism and
Nazism, yes, the fascist.
oh yeah, and the fact that his entire his whole background is just rooted in Nazism, and there's still a lot of people who deny like what he did. Basically, it's just so
Yeah,
blatant.
Joe Rogan's response was particularly interesting, trying to
What'd he
act as
say?
if, yeah, he was saying that it was just my heart goes out to you. It's like
Oh God,
people are seeing what they want to see, and it wasn't really a Sig Hail, right? That's what it's called, a Sig Hail
right,
from
right,
back in the day, and it absolutely was. Elon is absolutely a Nazi. He did that event with the far right contingent of the German political machine, and I mean
yeah.
it's just as
We
clear as
talked about
day.
that too. Can you guys hear me? According to them, I wasn't audible that whole time. I think I fixed it now though. Can you guys hear me? Let me know. Yeah,
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
okay. Cool.
Oh, Megan loves me. This is cool. I'm gonna keep this open so I can see your chat.
Yeah, according to Mina Lita, working now. Yes, it's been an eventful stream, honestly. Um,
How long have you been on for?
an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh wow. Oh okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I just
yeah,
got back from lacrosse practice, so
hell yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was fun. It was good to get out there with the guys. These
hell yeah.
guys are like 19 and 20 years old, and so they just voted for the first time, and
Really?
it's like, yeah, it just makes me more enthusiastic about our advocacy of uniting Gen Z and millennials so that we can create a new generational political coalition because the baby boomers are gone and the Gen Xers are very capitalist, as we've talked about. But somebody's got to step up and tell the DNC what they don't want to hear because there has been way too much capitulation, way too much capitulation. A lot of these Senate confirmations are
Yeah.
going through at like 96, 99 in the affirmative. And it's like, where's the resistance? Where
Oh
is
my
the
god,
goddamn resistance?
it's fucking non-existent. Honestly, it's so pathetic. Like you see, oh my god, it's been God, what a week. You see Hakeem Jeffries, the response to the Trump just literally just wiping the floor with the administrative states and the erosion of all these departments and it just um, executive order after executive order after executive action. What is his response? Well, Trump may think he is king or whatever the fuck.
Dictator.
Yeah, something like that. But like we know who's really in control, and that's God. It's just like fucking. These are not people. They have no spines. They are fucking worms. I
Well,
am so sick of
have you
them.
been on Have you been on Blue Sky at all?
A little bit. Like I still I
You
been
saw my stuff.
I've been on Twitter a whole hell of a lot. I basically copied most of my posts that I put on
Oh yeah,
Twitter
I'm gonna bring up your posts. Yeah,
onto
on this Blue
uh
Sky.
onto Blue Sky. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Megan says just wait for the more controversial people. No pushback. Look at Hegseth. I mean, Hegseth got a lot of pushback. The issue was he's going to get confirmed anyway. That's the thing with all these hearings. It doesn't fucking matter because
Right.
they're all going to get the votes. Like 3 Republicans voted against Pete Hegseth, including Mitch McConnell, and he still fucking got through. Mitch McConnell knows just how fucked things are right now. If he's like one of the lone Republicans voting against this fucking unqualified piece of shit. And of course, yeah, Tulsi this week, I think her hearing is on Thursday.
Well, Mitch McConnell's a good example of like an evil genius where it's like someone that Trump wishes he were as intelligent as, because Mitch McConnell knows how to institute evil within the power structure as it exists. Trump just takes a bulldozer to the power structure. And that's why no one should ever think of Trump as particularly intelligent. He's just a straight up bully.
Yeah.
He's just got the position on you, right? He's just like one of those athletes that's just bigger than you, and you got to deal with it. You got to find a way to beat him, even though he has the physical advantage.
Yeah.
And now he's got the cultural advantage. Everybody's thinking that it's cool to be Republican now. It's like, aren't you getting tired of these fucking healthcare premiums? What happened to caring about the environment? Like, aren't you sick of your student loan debt?
Yeah,
Aren't you sick of these absurd credit card, payments that people are having to make? Everyone's drowning in debt. Over half the country is living paycheck to paycheck.
God, yeah, and all this rhetoric has just fucking vanished, completely vanished. It wasn't even present during Kamala Harris's campaign. So it's like no wonder. Like, people have, now that Trump has won, people have so many more things, many more immediate things to worry about. Like, people are worried about survival right now.
Well, that's what people are worried about, but the politicians just seem to be worried about maintaining relevance or something, or going along to get along. I mean, this Democratic Party is just spineless.
Yeah.
It is just so spineless.
Yeah.
And the bad news is that even if we were to get rid of Nancy and Chuck like I want, we still got Hakeem Jeffries sitting there waiting in the wings to take power. I mean, I know he's the minority leader in the House now anyway, but I mean, he's a neoliberal corporatist. He's not going to get big change into the conversation for the left. And my frustration with Blue Sky has been, because I've seen it as a barometer for where the left is at with respect to wanting a regime change within the Democratic Party. And there is still a lot of love, way too much love, way too much defense for the neoliberal establishment. They criticize you with like, don't attack allies. Don't attack allies. That's the big line whenever I try to bring it up. And then there's also this blaming of the far left for the loss of like, you guys were all about saving Israel, Gaza. You said that was one of your core issues. Well, now look what's going to happen to Gaza as a result. It's like, well, Kamala never came out saying that she was going to save Gaza and take on Netanyahu.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you talking about?
Right.
People think that like it's just like the lesser of two evils is where you and I are at. We're going to support the Democratic Party because we're just loyal enough, I guess. I don't know, but naively loyal. I mean, it's like you can bitch and moan like a child about this contingent of voters not showing up, or you can do something that's going to motivate them to show up. Because they will show up. They showed up in 2008. They showed up in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. But, no, it's beyond pathetic. Honestly, it's like we talked about in the last stream. Like a big reason why a lot of the youth vote under 29 didn't vote for Kamala Harris, didn't even bother to go out and vote at all, is because of the failure to differentiate from Joe Biden on the policy regarding Gaza, regarding Israel. The fact that we're just handing them blank checks, saying like, oh, here's all the fucking weapons you need to fucking genocide an entire ethnic group. And now you have fucking today, or maybe I think it was probably yesterday, Trump saying the quiet part out loud. Oh, we should just clean out the whole place. Give the rest of the Palestinians to Jordan. Give the rest of the Palestinians to Egypt or whoever the fuck. It's like cleaning out a whole ethnic group.
Yes,
I think there's a fucking word for that, isn't there?
Genocide.
God, it's ethnic cleansing. Yeah, fucking. It's like, and now it's like, where is everybody? This has been harped away at for 15 months now, over 15 months. And now, like Trump's just coming out and just like blatantly saying it's like Gaza's got beautiful beach sides. It's real nice there. Like, how much more blatant can you get? He's taken $230 million from Israel adjacent committees and funding groups and lobbying groups and whatnot, and he's just doing their bidding. And like, the West Bank is going to be next. That like Lebanon's not fucking out of the woods yet.
Yep.
It's fucking disgusting. And of course you got nothing, no uh, pushback coming from the Democratic side at all, because obviously they're all bought out by fucking APAC as well. But yeah,
Yeah, it seems like they've thrown up their hands. The attitude, the vibe that I've been getting from the Democratic Party, just like, oh well, we tried, we lost. Let's get back to work with Republicans.
no,
And it's like, are
it's
you ever
so
going
out
to
of
change? Are you ever
No.
going to change? And the answer is no. There's nothing. There's
God.
never going to be any change in the Democratic Party, and until there's a change at the top.
Right.
I
No.
mean, seeing like Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff confirm some of these people, it's really disappointing. I thought
Beyond
some of these guys would
disappointing.
make a point. Like, make
Yeah.
a point. Sow the
Right.
seeds right now. Sow the seeds of the anti-MAGA revolution that's going to be required in 4 years. I don't think people are understanding the long-term view here.
Mm-hmm.
You need a huge change in leadership on the left if this party is going to win again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's conceivable if they don't put up another good candidate in 4 years and J.D. Vance is the nominee, then that could be another 4 years of Republican rule. It could be another 8 years. Grand
God.
total of 12.
Well,
It could be in my 50s before we see some progressive change.
right. Yeah.
You're gonna
I mean,
you're gonna be my age.
Yeah. For real. I mean, it's for the immediate future. It's just about community building, community organizing, and whatnot, because of all the Trump executive orders that are just tearing society apart right now. Were you able to? I mean, at least to the midterms, that should definitely be the immediate focus, because if anything, it should be a blue. It should obviously be a blue wave in response to what's
It
being
usually is. It usually is.
right. Yeah, and it has to be. It has to be overwhelming. Like, there can be no question about it whatsoever, because that will likely feed into 2028. We can only
Right.
hope. Like, we can really only hope, because they're going to try to rig it. The Republicans are going to try to rig it. But
Yeah.
they have so much going for them right now that they are not even remotely close to ready to giving any of that up. They've come way too far. Like, fucking Project 2025 is here. All the groundwork for it is being laid out right now. I think 2/3 of what's been listed in no 2/3 of the executive orders passed by Trump so far were listed out in Project 2025. And one of the biggest components of it is Schedule F, which reclassifies federal workers. And by doing that, he can not only get rid of everybody in the federal government who has a federal job, and that's already been happening, by the way. He's been freezing hires. He's been stalling certain cases. And it's to set up a screening process so that way he has only loyalists working government jobs. This is Schedule F. This is an essential part of Project 2025, and this is
Yeah.
what's going to be required for his administration moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a long road to hoe, man. I thought there would be
yeah.
a hunger on the left for regime change. I thought that Nancy's post election interview was devastating, and saying how she wouldn't do things differently. I mean,
Right.
James Carville, who we said, maybe Bernie was right at one point, has come back and still blaming the far left. I saw Kalinsky covered Bill Maher talking shit about Gen Z. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
are you
bullshit.
stupid? What are you
No,
doing,
of
man?
course.
You gonna talk
Yeah,
shit about the generation that we need to like revive America?
I
Because
really wish like we would get like copyright struck for that because I would love to react to that. Like just see me just rage out. Mean Alita
yeah,
says Democrats have no sense of urgency. Plus, they can't afford to piss off their APEC handlers. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Feed your hungry neighbors. Bingo. Yeah, completely agree.
well, the good, there might be some light if APAC, if this is still going on in 4 years, then the anti-Israel nominee will get the nomination
Yeah,
because everyone's so sick of it. Everyone's so sick of it, man. Like
no, of course.
the mainstream media tried so hard to keep that genocide out of the news, and people
Yeah,
know what's going on. Like those
of
Gen Z
course.
guys, the Gen Z podcast guys, when we interviewed them,
Jizzy
they had
speech.
no,
Yeah,
they knew as much about the genocide as we did.
no, of course. Yeah,
And I'm like, you guys are doing your homework.
yeah.
So if someone had, they would have won the Gen Z vote if they'd come out and say, no, I'm anti-genocide. We're taking down APAC.
That's
I mean,
all.
we need someone to
Yeah,
step up on the left and says, I'm going to destroy the NRA. I'm
yeah,
going to destroy APAC. I'm going to destroy this. Like I'm going to be an agent, not just of a particular type of change. I'm going to be an agent of destructive change.
yeah.
And I was on a conference call with the Mike Figueredo Humanist Report people,
Uh-huh.
his fans or whatever, and they're talking about Tim Walz, and I'm like, you guys got to get away from this nice guy thing. No more.
Well, here's the
No
thing.
more. You need a weapon. You need someone that's going to punch the bully in the face.
I think Tim Waltz has the capacity to be rough. I think he really does, but I think he was neutered by the Harris campaign. I truly believe that because early on, he was on stage, he was lobbing insults, he was cussing, and that vanished.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they benched him.
yeah, they
They
benched
benched
him,
him.
dude.
They put in
Yeah,
Liz Cheney instead. And it's like
yeah,
everyone's forgotten about that.
no,
It's like
yeah,
no one remembers what her campaign strategy was following the convention. Because the convention went well, and then after the convention, everything was about playing to the center and playing to the anti-Trump Republicans. There was that video. I don't know if you've seen it. That I posted on um, Blue Sky about Chuck Schumer saying, "Well, for every one Democratic vote that we lose in Philadelphia,
oh yeah,
we'll
that
gain
bullshit.
2 Republican votes in the middle of the state or something like that." It's like, you idiot. You
Yeah,
idiot. You don't know how to inspire leadership. Like, why did Obama win? Because of participation. People will show up for a fight.
yeah,
America is an entertainment based society, and conflict is
yeah,
the greatest form of entertainment. So
yeah.
you have to get into the fight. I mean,
Mhm.
Kamala could have maybe won if she had gone full bitch. We've talked
Of
about that.
course,
I
of
mean, there's no
course.
doubt. Anybody who says Kamala couldn't have won this election is just doesn't know what they're talking about because
It was like
it was
how
close
like
enough where they could have won.
fucking
She could have won.
how bad do you have to be to lose to Donald Trump? Like, give me a fucking break. It's like the easiest layup in the world, and you fail. Well, of course, um, like leave it to the Democrats. Like no other fucking party in history. Um,
You got any fun
fucking
chats?
yeah, I got a few. And thank you all for watching. By the way, I peeked at 11 here a little bit ago.
CNC Pyro says Trump baby, that's my president. You guys are delusional. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
sure,
pal.
sure thing, buddy. Thanks for joining. I
Yeah,
really
thank you for
appreciate.
thanks for
Yeah,
the engagement.
yeah. Megan thinks that JD Vance would be a cool president. I couldn't disagree more. JD
JD
Vance
Vance is
is
cool.
JD Vance
What?
is fucking terrifying, absolutely awful. He's a fucking racist, fucking Nazi piece of shit. Regurgitates the Great Replacement theory.
Yeah, so this
Will
guy
fucking
says
go wherever
America.
power goes.
Your CNC Pyro guy is saying America first, and it's like, dude, that's straight out of Nazi Germany.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's
It's like I covered earlier in my stream. It's like there's a video we were watching from advice from Lewis, and he basically like broke down how fucking Elon Musk's family history dates back to Apart from apartheid South Africa, but like they were literally fucking Nazis. They wrote a lot about like the fucking Jewish cabal and the Jewish
Okay.
like Great Replacement theory and all that fucking just lunacy, that complete like backwards ass bullshit that fucking all the Nazis fell for, because like it's easy to scapegoat someone when you don't fucking know anything. Fucking
Right.
it's like everything is conspiracy theory when you don't fucking understand anything, you
Right.
fucking retards.
No, I mean the fundamental knowledge, the intellectual tools are just not there for most people. That's
No,
what you got to realize, and
no.
that's why modern day politics in America, consumer politics, it's salesmanship.
Yeah.
It's salesmanship. It's not a good enough. It's not good enough to have a good idea. You got to sell it,
Yeah.
and that's what made Bernie such an attractive candidate 8 years ago. Was he actually believed this guy's going to get universal health care?
Hmm.
This guy's going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, CNC Pyro here is saying they give all the money to the Ukraine instead of Americans. Guess what, buddy? That's not going to change, because all your money is going to be going to Israel instead, or to a bunch of AI that is overvalued and overhyped.
Yeah, I mean, if I was president right now, the first thing I'd do is I'd cut off Israel for 100 years. Say,
Yeah,
hey, well, see how you do on your own. See how you
yeah.
do on your own.
No
Shouldn't
kidding.
even be there.
Yeah,
What a
how?
horrible idea! What a horrible idea! In
Yeah,
putting Israel in the middle of Arab land. Like, you fucking kidding me?
yeah.
So stupid.
No, for real. Non-studios can give you information for recommended. What specifically are you referring to, Megan? I would like to know.
Explain how non-studied areas can give you information for recommendation, please.
And,
Oh,
and,
there's is it Megan? Yeah, Megan. Definitely. If you haven't already, check out my old episodes, my old essays on
yes,
conservatism, on conservative
yes.
cognition. The right wing media trick is usually the one I ask people to watch first, because the first two are really specific to me and the culture that I come from. But the right wing media trick, and then the superficial cognition of conservative capitalism, is also a good way to understand just the selfishness that defines conservatism. See, if you've got a group of people, let's say you
Uh-huh.
got let's say you've got 10 people, and
One
a
second,
long
Pyro.
story short is that if you've got 10 people and 9 of them are open-minded and one of them is just a conservative asshole,
Hmm.
that conservative asshole, it's like one bad apple spoils the bunch, is going to take away from the quality of collective decision making. This is why removing the current baby boomer neoliberal power is so important, because it's addition by subtraction, right?
Hmm.
Like, people are saying, oh, more younger voters or more younger candidates, more younger people in the party. And a lot of those people who are saying that, they're like, yeah, as long as they're going to do what they're told, as long as they're
Right.
not going to be, as long as they're in there to facilitate the system. I
Yes.
was on a call with a guy a couple of years ago talking about how, like, I was an outsider, thinking maybe I could go get a job working for a candidate or whatnot. And he was just talking about, basically, the undercurrent of his message was, yeah, I'll help you network, but you're there to serve the established power. You're not there
Yes.
to upset or really influence the established power that's already in place.
Hmm.
And it's so the left institution of the Democratic Party is not practicing what it preaches with respect to welcoming new voices, new ideas, new approaches to change. And actually, they don't practice what they preach when it comes to change. They don't want to change. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a fucking loser.
Hmm.
Okay? Sorry, dude. You think that guy is going to bring the heat? Like, where's the Senate equivalent of Wes Moore? Or even, I don't know, like, I've got my issues with him, but Gavin Newsom's making a good pitch as the guy who's the only one who's, even Wes Moore said, yeah, we're going to work with the current administration.
you?
Gavin Newsom's the only one who's saying no.
Yeah. Did you see? Did you see the clip of him and Trump when
Yeah.
they got off the tarmac,
Yeah.
and fucking like Gavin Newsom was just was just shaking his hand like aggressively, just like asserting dominance over Trump. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. Now, like Trump I think Trump is scared of him. I can't stand Gavin Newsom. I don't think that he should be the leader of the Democratic Party. I don't think he should be next in line. I think there are a lot better. There's so many better options that we could and should go with. But I, fucking, what can you do? Honestly, uh, we were talking earlier about the way that I mean, because the reason Trump was down there is because of the fucking L.A. fires, and now he's wanting to get rid of fucking FEMA. Like, are you fucking insane?
Yeah.
CNC Pyro said earlier. I mean, $750 to flood victims, hurricane victims that lost their homes, but Ukraine gets billions. Well, there's a lot of implications to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's a very complicated situation, and I think it's justified that they should be able to, that they should get our support and our NATO allies trust in us to do so because fuck Russia. They've literally like thrown like 300,000 troops into the grinder, probably even fucking more than that. But the thing is, when it comes to FEMA, Joe Biden was begging the Republicans during Hurricane Helene to come back from recess so that way they can put more funding into FEMA. Of course, everything like it all ended up fucking like all the funding ended up going to where it needed to go anyway. But like the fact that they said no about it says everything. Like, at least like make the gesture, and they didn't.
Right.
And now Trump's trying to blame Biden for how bad the response was to the hurricanes and whatnot. It's like no, no. Like if anything, like your response to that is to end FEMA, like that. Okay, so ending FEMA would create more unnecessary overhead. It would like it would pass it down to the states. The states would need to like allocate their own funds from their own budgets to go to disaster relief. A lot of them already do, but having that centralized structure through FEMA, who's like the best thing about FEMA is that they're great at cutting checks. They get money to where it needs to be. But if that infrastructure is not there and it's just left up to the states, and the federal government's not actively like sending them money, it's going to take longer for the money to get to where it needs to be. It's just unnecessary.
Right.
Like that centralized structure is there, and now states have to fucking make up for it themselves, and they're probably not even going to get what they need to handle these disasters in the first place, like the amount that's going to be required to rebuild and like even send out to the citizens so that way they can feed themselves, whatever the fuck. Because Trump is already signaling that he's going to be conditioning aid. Like if you kiss Trump's ass enough, you might be in luck. If not, if you're California, why should I send you guys money to help recover from the fucking disastrous fires? Some of the worst and most costliest natural disasters in history. He sees everything as a transaction. He sees
Right.
everything
He's
as a
trying to get like
loyalty
voter
test.
ID laws changed in California. Like, oh, you want aid, then we're going to have to see some changes in your
I know,
voter
Megan.
ID laws. Absolutely
Yeah,
ridiculous. I
yeah,
mean,
no,
the guy,
yeah.
you know, getting rid of FEMA. I don't think he'll get rid of FEMA. He's just talking, but
We'll see. He has single. I mean, we might not. He might restructure and whatnot. And CNC Pyro,
he just loves
yes,
he loves keeping people off balance. He
that's
loves keeping
always
people
been
off
his thing.
balance.
That's always
Yeah.
been Trump's thing. Thank God, at least you guys know Gavin. Also, Gavin is awful. Yes, he's a corporate neoliberal goon, and California can do way better than him for sure.
So I want to know, do you think there are going to be any social consequences for guys like Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon, the Google guy,
No, they
Tim
have all the
Cook?
money.
Do
No,
you think that there are going to be any social consequences for them for
abs-
going and supporting Trump? Really?
I
You don't
mean,
think 4 years from now, if and when he's out of office, if there's a Democratic president in there, you don't think people are going to be like,
I think
"Hey,
if the
Tim Cook, from Apple, you really shouldn't have supported Trump, man. And here's, so don't show up don't show up at restaurants in New
I
York
think
or
if the past 10 years of social consequences for like everything that they have done over the past decade hasn't gotten to them, then I think it doesn't fucking matter one bit. Honestly, they
And that's what we
they
were talking about when you were doing your stream when I was still up in skiing country.
yeah.
And you were saying how we were talking about the normalization,
Hmm.
how they make it look normal now. The fact that all
Yeah.
these billionaires and like Tim Cook is a respected guy. I was surprised to see him there, but they're all so afraid of deregulation. They're also afraid of regulation and being broken up that they're just going to kiss the ring. They're going to do what's required to keep their business the way it is. They like how big they are.
Yeah.
They like the status quo.
Yeah.
But meanwhile,
Exactly.
the environment is going to shit, and no one cares. And I was talking with a guy who voted for Trump, and he's someone whose intelligence I respect. I've known him since I was 13, and he's a successful guy. Worked hard. Nothing wrong with that. Made a good amount of money. I don't know how much, but it's a lot. And his issue was almost like casting. Was like, look at these. He looks at the Democratic leadership as losers who don't deliver. And it's like, and one of my other friends was like, well, what about this guy? Shows him a picture of Wes Moore. It's like, yeah, why can't we have a guy like that? And it's like, so you're just basing this off of appearances. You're basing your opinion of an institution off of the faces of that institution. And I'm like, thank you for your honesty, because you're not the only one who thinks that way.
Mhm.
But it was just surprising from something. This guy went to fucking Harvard. Like, it's just hard. It's hard to see a Harvard grad be so superficial with their political leanings.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump. They don't. It's not even so much they care about what Trump's going to do. They just know he's going to do something. Whereas all Democrats do, and they have powers, talk about what they can't do.
Right. Right. So, yeah, there's like Democrats don't want to play hardball. They don't want to exercise any power at all. Honestly, like even if they do have power, like a good example is when Obama had a supermajority during the first 2 years of his term, and all he did was get a fucking bullshit. Uh,
Got Romney care passed.
yeah, that was it. Like he didn't go after the bankers or anything. CNC Pyro here is talking about how um, Trump is going after Fauci, and I'm telling him like, hey, Fauci was pardoned by Biden, but it was revoked. You can't pardon someone prematurely. That's corrupt and unlawful for the president. But the thing about that, CNC Pyro, is the Supreme Court ruled that as long as it's an official act as president, you can't be charged with any crimes for it. You can't you can't face any legal consequences for it. What Biden did was an official act. In July 2024, the Supreme Court ruled as long as it's an official act, you are immune. You have immunity. And so this doesn't just apply for Trump. This applies for any fucking president as well. Why is someone being a part in advance? Because he's on Trump's enemy lists. There's a lot of people on his enemy list. Trump wants to go after people unilaterally and extrajudicially. That's
Right.
all there is to it.
Let me show you. Unless you got something else.
Thank
let
you
me
all.
show you-
Thank you all for tuning in. By the way, I got 12 viewers. It's really cool that you guys are all here. Make yourselves known. Make sure you guys are subscribed. It means a hell of a lot that you guys are here. Go ahead, Dieter.
So this is one thing I wanted to show you. This is one of
Oh,
the power
God.
players in the
Former
Democratic Party.
Congressman and White
Rahm
House
Emanuel
Chief
is
of
another
Staff
one of
Rahm
these fucking
Emanuel has spent
spineless
the last
fucking
3 years
worms.
in Japan as U.S. ambassador during President Biden's term, and he has returned stateside to a new reality in America. Donald Trump is back in the White House, and Republicans are in full power across both chambers of Congress, and Democrats are still unsure of what message they need
Fauci's
to
just
unify
a
the party.
scapegoat,
And Rahm
Pyro.
Emanuel joins us now. It's great to have you back on the show, Mr. Ambassador. And I'm
This guy epitomizes everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party.
I
in
couldn't
case
fucking
people
agree
don't know.
more.
Looking
I
at
couldn't
some
agree more.
comments
I
you made,
hate
to Financial
Ramen
Times
Manuel.
Magazine. You can't be lethargic against this guy. I think everyone is getting their sea legs and trying to figure out how to move forward here. Watching these nominations go through, watching Republicans as they respond to Donald Trump's pardons of the January 6th rioters. And what advice would you give moving forward?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're not going to win it just on the first effort. I mean, what I would focus on is the long term, which is not just this first week. And while I would oppose these nominations for a series of reasons, the three issues I would focus on: number one, the Secretary-Treasurer in the testimony in front of the Finance Committee said he was against the minimum wage. In the very week in which CEOs are getting pay hikes 30, 40%, he's against the minimum wage and it hasn't been raised in 2 decades. So that, actually 3 decades. So that is where I would go first and foremost.
So why didn't your president that you worked for, or why didn't Joe Biden ever talk about hiking the minimum wage? Sometimes talking about something is actually enough. See, it's one thing, that's political capital. We
Yeah.
tried to hike a minimum wage, but the Republicans prevented it from happening.
Yeah.
Like, blame has its place.
Foremost
It does.
and hit. Second, that the Republicans are talking about cutting health care subsidies for middle-class, working-class families to pay for a tax cut for the wealthy. And third, while Donald Trump obviously talked about fighting inflation, a tariff war with Canada, all the energy, not all, but the bulk of the energy, oil and gas for the United States, for the Midwest and Rocky Mountains, comes from Canada. You're going to see it at the pump immediately. Go right to the economics, go right to the core as issues. I do think, as it relates to a number of these nominations, I would fight them on the, if you want to fight them. I don't think you have to fight every one of them, but where you have clear stands, like I think the idea of the Secretary of
Why not?
Defense, a alcoholic, and a person with drinking problems and other types of character and judgment issues should be nowhere close to advising the
No,
president on
it's not
nuclear
just
issues.
that
You got
either.
12,
It's not just the fact that Pete Hegseth is a beater of women and a drunk. It's the fact that he's an 04. For example, he is such lowly. He is so lowly ranked as military personnel to begin with. For like H.R. McMaster is an 010. And clearly someone who's a lot more qualified, a lot more fit for the position. It goes beyond just how much of a piece of shit that he is in his personal life. It's the fact that he is such a low-ranking member of the military to begin with. Like, there are people in reserves that have a higher rank than an 04 that Hegseth has. That's the fucking thing that a lot of these people don't fucking get.
Nuclear aircraft carriers, 30-plus nuclear submarines. This person clearly is not qualified to be in the situation we're advised. But on the core fundamentals, against the minimum wage, while CEOs' pay is going up, that picture of all those CEOs is going to hurt the president in the long term. Cutting health care benefits for working.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because a lot of voters think that they can become one of those billionaires.
Middle-class families to pay for a tax cut for the wealthy, and making sure that gas prices in the Midwest jump. Remember, you got Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in the Midwest. That is where a lot of oil and gas from Canada comes to the United States. You're going to see it at the pump with Donald Trump's tariff war.
Yeah, we'll see the
That's
vote.
where I would go.
We'll see the vote for Pete Hegseth later tonight. We should note he, of course, has denied the allegation that he is an alcoholic. He says he would stop drinking if confirmed.
Well,
Mr. Ambassador,
the one thing here, I don't agree with Donald Trump. I admire the fact that he has never had a drink in that area. But once you have a drinking problem, you always have a drinking problem. And that job is not stress-free. I've been in this situation. You are 2 seats, the Secretary of Defense, down from the President of the United States. You have a million-plus men and women under your command. That person should be nowhere close to advising the president.
And that's another thing too. That's another thing too. The fact that the Department of Defense has such a gigantic budget, and you are overseeing like 2 million personnel. I think it is something crazy, some big number, and you're passing it off to this guy who's just so unqualified and so unfit, only because he has openly expressed how he is a loyalist to Donald Trump, and that's the bar.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that.
Well, he also said we can't resist him on everything. I'm like, why can't we resist him on everything? We should resist him at every turn.
Yes.
We should make everything difficult for them.
Right, yeah. It's like, if Mitch McConnell was able to see that, why can't the fuck anybody else?
No, we should give him we should call it the Newt Gingrich treatment.
Like,
give Trump the Newt Gingrich treatment.
As much of a piece of shit that Mitch McConnell is, like, he understands fucking like where the power should lie and who should have influence.
Mm-hmm. You know what the stress of a Secretary of Defense is in the Situation Room? Live or die, boots on the ground or not, nowhere. And every senator
Bingo,
knows it.
either.
yeah, and the 2 Republican
Now the
senators
question
who
is,
Yeah, Mr. Ambassador, right. The two Republican senators who voiced opposition to his nomination both did cite character issues as part of why they couldn't support him. You were, of course, an ambassador to Japan until just very recently. Let's turn
Rumor has
to
it.
yeah. Let's turn to that part of the world right now because we know President Trump has threatened tariffs against China in recent, coming up in a few days. At the same time, he's talked to Xi Jinping. He wants to have a visit to China soon. It has been reported. There's also been. What is your level of concern about some of the democratic rollback we've seen in that area? And do you think that Trump foreign policy will be robust enough to the area that former President Biden said that relationship, U.S. and China, is by far the most important of the next century?
Well, I have a fundamental principle about the Indo-Pacific. It is a home game for China. It's an away game for the United States. And I hate using sports metaphors on big national security issues, but to understand this, and our allies, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, India, Australia, New Zealand, they level the playing field for the United States. You can't be a credible deterrent force from Long Beach, California in the Indo-Pacific. And you can't fight your adversaries and fight your allies. You got to pick. I happen to think our allies are tremendous resources for the United States. One of the things that China hates most is when the United States, Japan, and Korea under President Biden aligned correctly. Philippines, Japan, the United States aligned correctly. Now, to their credit, I'll call it out, one of the first meetings Secretary of State Rubio called for was the Quad, which is India, Australia, Japan, and the United States, showing China our allies stand with us. The isolated party in the Indo-Pacific is China based on their actions. Economic coercion, wolf warrior. You sit there and all of a sudden level up with your adversary, your allies are going to have real questions about your staying power. And so we are stronger when China sees a united front. We are weaker when they see divisions with our own allies. And my concern with President Trump, it's not that he has affinity for autocrats stylistically. He actually sees the world like they do. He sees Russia. You want Ukraine? You want Eastern Europe?
I'll give
That's
him
your
that.
Sphere of influence.
I'll give him
Indo-Pacific.
that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not a. I mean,
He sees that with the
Yeah, I mean, and he see. Okay, so I can. What his niche is foreign policy, especially in that region. He seems to be actually really knowledgeable about the area, and his read on Donald Trump's approach to the area is actually pretty fucking accurate as well. I can see exactly why, because it says right here, former
but
ambassador.
China's
to
not
Japan.
invading anybody. China's
Yeah,
that's not the
like,
hottest area.
of course, yeah, they're the
if you-
scapegoat.
China is a smart government. Okay, they didn't rebuild their society starting in the 1980s until today without making some good decisions. It's kind of the best argument for democracy's not for everybody, right? China,
Right.
you can't. We're not going to go into China and make them more American. They don't want to be more American.
No,
but
of
they
course.
do want to
They
do
shouldn't be
business
either.
with us. Our economic ties to them are so strong.
Big time.
So if
Yeah.
if business, I don't think they want a huge upsetting in China. They don't. If they were going to
Yeah.
invade Taiwan, I think they would have done it already. I don't think that they have ambitions of invading Taiwan. That's the only real thing you have to worry about with China.
Yeah.
It's like that part of the world isn't where it's hot right now. What's hot
Yeah.
is Ukraine and Israel, Gaza.
this whole move on
Right.
Greenland and Panama.
Have you heard about
That's
the
used as
AI
strategic
thing
tools. He's a
regarding China?
No,
I-
what?
You don't know anything about that at all?
No, I mean, I don't
Oh
think so.
boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
Should I close this and we should talk?
Well, yeah, I actually put out a video last night. I thought I sent you it, but I guess not. It's not a big deal. CNC Pirate says buried dead and red. Trump's about to put big tariffs on China. Yeah, the thing about that is China's just gonna do what they usually do, and they're going to set up shop on whatever we put tariffs on, like whatever commodity, whatever export of theirs, whatever industry. They're going to set up shop in a neighboring country like Laos or Taiwan or take your pick. And instead, they're going to export those goods from that country so they don't have to pay those tariffs. This is how they've screwed the tariffs before, and not to mention if they don't do that, and American companies buy these products that are made in China or what have you anyway, American companies are just going to, if it's within reason, buy this product anyway and just pay the tariffs. And what they're going to do is pass the cost onto us, the consumers, meaning we get to pay for those tariffs, meaning we are paying more for shit that we don't that used to be more expensive that used to be cheaper before Trump put tariffs on it. Ultimately, yeah. So the Chinese are coming, and like that's actually what we're about to talk about. We could actually get to the Chinese AI thing after this Rahm Emanuel thing. It's actually a really
it's
interesting
fundamentally
thing.
against America's interest. We have allies which are a multiplier of force and deterrence and the credibility of our deterrence. And my concern is not what everybody else in Washington writes, which is this idea, he has stylistic affinity. No, he is strategically aligned with them. And his comments about Xi, his comments about Putin as friends, his actually running down our allies weakens the credibility of America's deterrence. You want to stop wars, as he says, and I take his word seriously, you do it with allies aligned with you. And they're ready to be aligned with America's
That's
leadership.
a thing.
Ambassador, good morning. Let's talk a little domestic politics. As you know, many progressives, many Democrats are dejected about what happened in the election. They fully expected that they would move forward with a President Kamala Harris, but now we're 4 more years of Donald Trump. You won all the swing states, some of them by very narrow margins. You've been at the center of Democratic politics for so long now.
You shouldn't be
Congressman,
shocked.
Chief of Staff inside the Oval Office. What is your message to Democrats about not just how to handle Donald Trump, but how to get back on the horse and look ahead to the midterms, which really get underway about a year from now in terms of campaigning?
Well, there's a long thing to unpack, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it just here. But I would say, one, you focus on Donald Trump. That's opportunities to kind of create a narrative. But two, focus on the American people, not just Donald Trump. And I think that one of the mistakes for the party was that they became brain dead over the years, because 20 years ago there was demographics as destiny. Don't worry, the demographics are going to work for the Democratic Party. And intellectually, policy-wise, we became brain dead. And I think the
leadership. Who is to blame for that? That is an institutional failure. Ergo, the leaders of the institution deserve the blame.
mistake to make is all we're going to do is focus on Donald Trump, which is where he wants you to focus, and not focus on the American people. That's number one. Number two, your recruitment's going to be very important. The profile, the story of the candidates, like we did in 06, like in 08, like 2018, their backgrounds in targeted districts have to tell the story of that district, not what the National Democrats want. And
okay, so that's good, right? He's talking about casting there. New candidates, their backgrounds should be in line with the district that they're trying to win. That's not a new idea. The new idea would be younger, more progressive, because that's what people want. Universal health care polls at 70%.
And third and foremost, well, we're going to have, when we talk about kitchen table issues, we've got to stop thinking that they're just economic, although those are important. They're also about schools, about public safety, about what's going on in the neighborhood. We had 2 Democrats get elected president and reelected since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. President Clinton and President Obama. President Clinton ran on 100,000 community police officers. We became identified with defund the police. One of those worked both policy-wise and politically. President Obama.
We did not become identified with defund the police. That slogan lasted 6 months.
Obama was criticized for being the deporter-in-chief. And then there were a lot of other Democrats who talked about free health care at the border if you cross the border illegally. One of those have worked politically and be the right policy. We have to be where the American people are at their kitchen table, not where we.
Absolutely, Solania.
Yeah, the kitchen table issue that matters most, I think, is healthcare. I can't get off healthcare. I mean, I just find myself coming back to it every time. I'm like, until we fix healthcare, we can't
Free
fix anything
Luigi
domestically.
Want to be, but where they are and talk to them. And the fact is, on a whole slew of issues, just take President Clinton's election in '92. For 20 years, there was a campaign against law and order by Richard Nixon, welfare queens by Ronald Reagan,
I don't know
Billy
about
Gordon
that,
by George
Pyro.
Bush. It was Bill Clinton's message on a slew of issues, from crime to immigration to welfare reform to drug policy, that got right with the American people so they could hear the rest of what we're talking about. We can't ignore a set of issues because it makes us uncomfortable, that makes the American people uncomfortable. If we get right on how they.
Did Kamala ignore these issues, or did she just not present solutions to these problems that came across as viable or big enough? I mean, I think it's about size. Like, I think America's about size more than anything else.
I don't think any single person who's even remotely in tune with politics can look at the Kamala Harris campaign and point to anything that anybody could consider big and bold.
Right.
There's fucking. She didn't offer anything. A few tweaks around the edges.
Dude,
it's the neoliberal way, dude.
Neither one of us have like a political science degree or whatever, but
I want to get one.
I don't know. I don't think you need it. I don't think you need it, man. I think we already know more about the professional politicians. You're just going to get indoctrinated with operating within the system instead of changing the fucking system.
They live their lives, how they want to raise their kids, how they want to see what goes on in their communities and in their cities. Then we're going to be okay. And I'll give you a classic example. I think this idea on what President Trump is talking about, raiding schools and places of worship on immigration,
Thanks for
is as
joining.
stupid as the Democrats closing schools and places of worship during COVID. And
okay, so this is actually, so he says, this is interesting. So check this. Check out what he just said.
of worship on immigration is as stupid as the Democrats closing schools and places of worship during COVID. And they are going to make a massive mistake of going after immigrants in schools, hospitals, and places of worship. And that's where Democrats can stand up and say, look, what you...
Okay, so now here's how
Okay.
I would say that. Here's how
Okay.
I would say. Here's what Democrats on TV need to sound like. Just
Yeah.
wait till you see these fucking deportations come to your town and take away people that you know. And don't forget the administration and the political party that made it happen. And hold it over their heads for the rest of their lives until they are politically irrelevant. Because there's nothing good that comes from the Republican Party. Nothing.
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That's
Seriously.
ethos. That's
It really
fucking
is.
ethos.
Yes, it's fucking passion is what it fucking
Balls,
is.
dude.
Yes, for crying out fucking goddamn loud. Like, this is literally fucking happening. The ICE raids are happening all over the country, these major cities and everything. Fucking elementary schools. They're showing up at elementary schools trying to fucking deport children, trying to round up children. They're showing up at hospitals.
Yep.
They're showing up at hospitals. Like if you're a doctor, I'm fairly certain you know what the fucking Hippocratic Oath is. Trying to fucking just like nab people who are on a fucking hospital bed being taken care of. Are you fucking kidding me? And just sending them to fucking God knows fucking where. Like, and now Trump's coming out and saying like, oh, there needs to be like a minimum fucking quota for how many arrests that ICE makes in a day. It's like, this is fucking Gestapo shit, dude. And fucking like they're going after people that aren't even fucking committing crimes. Yeah, their crime was they came over here fucking. They crossed an imaginary line. Oh, whoop de fucking do. If they're not actively fucking committing crimes, if they're not being violent and shit, then like, what the fuck is the point of spending taxpayer money on this shit? What the fuck is the point of exerting energy and authority over this shit? It's just to create fear. It's just to create chaos. It's just to throw red meat to the MAGA base because they will eat it the fuck up.
Because their lives suck.
Yeah,
And
fuck
they want
those fucking brown people. Send them back to wherever the fuck they fucking came from. Like, fuck the fact that they're tax-paying citizens. Fuck the fact that they're providing for families. Fuck the fact that they've been part of the communities that they've been in for who knows how fucking long now. It doesn't fucking matter, because to all these fucking MAGA retards, they're all fucking criminals, so fuck them off.
Yeah.
God damn it, dude.
Let's finish this up.
That tells me you've missed a bit, Megan.
You got a criminal background?
Go ahead.
Out of here. Schools, hospitals, places of worship. That's as crazy as what we did during COVID. And we advocated. And it was very clear within 6 months that it was a wrong policy as it relates to public health and achieving educational goals. Here is that there are places to stand and also understand what happens and how people live their lives. Not how we want them to live their lives, but how they actually live their lives, and that we're in touch with it from a value system. They can then hear everything else we have to talk about.
Wilmer,
Now,
you
can
have
I
some-
weigh in on?
Oh, yeah.
Can I weigh in on one other? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the MVP.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
MVP, it's
yeah,
between
yeah.
Lamar and Josh.
Who cares?
All right, so CNC Pyro, I'm gonna ask you like I've asked Megan. When it comes down to it, do you think that illegal immigrants who are here in America and who are paying taxes but don't see the benefits of those taxes, who are working jobs but don't ever see the benefits of those jobs, you don't see the like what we would expect as working Americans do. Do you think that if they're not committing any crimes, if they are contributing to their communities, if they're not causing any trouble at all, that ICE rounding them up and just bringing them, like tossing them out of the country, is good for these communities? Is it good for the economy? Because these people do contribute to the economy.
A lot.
And at the rate that this is happening, it's going to have a major effect. Like, there's some citrus farms that have shut down because of like their reliance on these undocumented workers. And sure,
H-1Bs,
that's a problem in and of itself. But the issue isn't to fucking throw these people out of the country. It's to go after the people who incentivize this cheap labor to be here in the fucking first place. It's capitalism.
And shame on Kamala Harris and every Democratic presidential nominee since Clinton for never saying immigrants are the toughest of us because
really are.
they do the shittiest jobs. They make the same amount of money every year and they save up. Why? So their kids can go to college, so their
Yeah.
kids can have a better life.
Yes.
They don't present
Sacrifice.
the profile. They don't present the profile of the immigrant. All of those things that all of those details that you just offered about the immigrant experience are anathema to conservatives. And here's the tragedy: they're anathema to a lot of liberals.
They are.
A lot of liberals have we've talked about it, how immigration is the blood sacrifice of the Democratic Party to mainstream politics. There is no effort to alter the public image of the American immigrant by the Democratic Party.
None.
They are a
There's
huge part of our fucking society.
no, seriously. There's nothing there. You saw, like, not just the Kamala Harris campaign, but a whole lot of senators, whole lot of House races as well, harp away at the dangers of the border and whatnot. Not praising immigrants for how hardworking and selfless they are, because they're not here for fucking themselves. They're not here to just fucking like.
You know what the best part? You know what they
American
deserve?
society. They're doing it for their fucking kids.
And
That's-
you know what you know what the best part is? You know what the most appealing part of the immigrant culture is, for the most part? They don't complain.
Yes, that's a key aspect of it as well.
They don't complain, and they should.
They don't.
They should complain.
But the
'Cause
thing is, they're afraid that if they do fucking complain, if
They'll
their
lose their
complaints,
job. Right.
yeah, that's it, yeah. CNC Pyro says there should be an amnesty program of some kind for nonviolent tax-paying immigrants. I do agree with that, and I don't think you're going to get that with a Trump fucking administration. That's for sure. Sadly, right now the borders have been wide open for 4 years now, thanks to Democrats who have to purge it. That's actually a lie. That's a lie. That he's saying how the borders have been open. That's not actually true.
That's not
That's
true.
the borders are the same as they've ever been. If you come through a port of entry and you can't claim asylum, you have protections. If you cross the border illegally, you don't have that same protections, but you still do have rights. The borders are not open. Otherwise, we would have free commerce in between United States and Mexico, the United States and Canada, and whoever flies in back and forth. That is not the case right now. The borders are not open. That has been a MAGA lie. That has been a lie regurgitated by conservative media for years now. But if you repeat something enough times every single day, it's like if you were told by someone that you listen to every single day that your neighbor was this purple 8-legged freak that eats babies, but you never saw him, but you were told that every single day, day after day, eventually you believe it.
Yeah.
Even though you've never actually seen this force in action, if you've never actually seen this neighbor, if you've never actually seen these claims played out in front of you, but if that's repeated enough, eventually you believe it, because that's the way the fucking conservative media works. In the media in general, but especially conservative media, especially those who watch Fox News and Newsmax and the OAN and all that fucking bullshit. It's just not true. There's no truth to it.
I remember when I was a kid listening to a sermon, because we had to go to church, and one of the sermons talked about how there were these imprisoned Americans in Vietnam, I think, and they were put up all these propaganda around them of like Americans slaughtering innocent people and America sucks and exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And eventually it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Eventually, after a couple of months, they started to believe it. And these were soldiers. These were men who pledged their lives to American military service, and they were convinced by the end of that process that America was the enemy.
No,
I'll tell you another person who's the enemy is Richie Torres. You want to see him?
Oh my God, do we have to?
We got to go Richie Torres.
Oh, okay,
I'm gonna go after this because this guy has the aesthetic talent to be I can see why the party is pushing him.
Uh-huh.
is a New York APAC guy.
Yeah.
But man, is he sleazy.
President
Watch
Trump's
this
second
guy.
term
Yeah.
focused on rolling back
Okay,
diversity,
real
equity,
quick though,
and
I
inclusion.
Yeah.
I did want to address a comment.
Go ahead.
Lyrical Cereal says, "I'm loving Trump's first week so far. Trump the goat." And for those MAGA types in chat, and like I got 14 viewers right now. That's insane. I would like he's getting things. Yeah, he's getting things done, but like, what things in particular?
That are hurting
Are-
America.
well,
He's
yeah,
hurting the
like-
fucking country.
No, for real. Like, what in particular are you in favor of? I mean, yeah, he's going very fast, and we're going to talk a bit more about that. The blitzkrieg of Trump executive orders and everything. We're going to get to that. There's a whole lot to go for. It's been a very, 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 very busy week. But let's go ahead and start with Richie Torres. Show me what you got here,
Richie
Dieter.
Torres. Yeah, this came out the other day. This is when I texted you. I was like, this
Inclusion
guy's bad.
initiatives,
Isn't he?
among
This
them,
piece of
ordering
shit.
all federal
This
DEI employees
APAC
to be placed
bot
on paid
piece of
leave
garbage.
starting today. While our next guest has been a longtime supporter of marginalized
Hello,
communities,
Joseph.
he's
Wake
also
up,
criticized his
welcome
own
in.
party, particularly on the far left, for its outsized role in shaping Americans' perception of Democrats' priorities. Democratic Congressman Richie Torres of New York joins us now. He has an opinion piece in the Free Press entitled "The Rising Democratic Coalition Fell."
You're
Now
in
what?
for something,
Thank you for being
Pyro.
on, and I'll start there.
I'll hold
now
you to that.
what?
Well, look, the ground beneath us, may be shifting. Class is increasingly replacing race as the most powerful predictor of
Fucking
voting
robot.
behavior in American politics. And by class, I mean educational attainment. There were a few congressional districts that saw a greater swing toward Donald Trump.
That's not class, motherfucker. That's not class. That's education. They're two different
God.
things.
I'm
You can
convinced.
be you can get an education even if you come from a lower middle class or just a lower class family. If you're intelligent, you like school. Like, dude, you're already pissing me off.
Yeah, no, this
You know,
guy's a piece of shit.
And I think black people might not like him with the way what he just said.
No, yeah. No, the fucking despise
I don't
his
know,
ass.
I don't pretend to represent black consciousness, but if I were black, I think I might take issue with this what he just said.
Predictor
If
of voting
you
behavior
were watching
in American
earlier, I
politics.
actually
Now
covered the
what?
video by a YouTuber called Advice from Lewis, and the fact that like all this eradication of DEI and affirmative action, it's all based on a fucking bunch of lies. The conservative media has touted for as long as I can remember now. These buzzwords, these fucking lies about discrimination. Yet there's no fucking evidence provided that like implementing DEI programs and whatnot and affirmative action is in any way fucking discriminatory. It's a meritocratic system for a fucking reason, but these systems are in place, DEI and affirmative action, so that way if you feel like you're being discriminated by your employer, you have the right to fucking sue their asses. You have the right to fucking go after them and say like, hey, you're discriminating against me. That's why these executive defenses were in place, because this was fucking happening a whole fucking
it
lot.
happens.
in the 60s.
It happens,
like,
dude.
Yeah, and then Trump gets rid of them. You can't fucking like sue as easily anymore. Like these protections are slowly being stripped away, and eventually it's going to be he's going to go after the Equal Opportunity Employment Act or whatever of 1972 or something like that. It is all complete fucking bullshit. DEI is just another buzzword for minorities, for the LGBTQ, for fucking women. They can't point to any evidence as to why it's bad and why its implementation has been a negative for the fucking country. Let's get on with this fucking sellout to fucking APAC.
Well, just real quick, one piece of one area of corporate culture where sexism is rampant.
Of course,
is in the world of engineering.
Yes.
It's like a 70-30 percentage of the college majors in engineering are managers as female, and that shows up in trying to get a job. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to get a job as an engineer as a woman.
Yes. One thing, since we're on the topic of Richie Torres, I had a tweet that actually did some numbers earlier this week. It was about Richie Torres. I'm actually going to share it here with my stream here, but check this out. So I had a tweet that says, Reminder for anyone watching Morning Joe. This is when you reached out to me, Neither. Richie Torres is a gigantic piece of shit, a huge whore for APAC, and loves watching thousands of brown babies be blown to bloody pieces by American-made weapons dropped by Israel. And this goes for Senator John Fetterman too. Fucking
Yeah, John Fetterman
277.
can fucking die.
Yeah, 277 likes, over 6,000 views.
Wow.
Fuck Richie Torres. Fuck anybody who defends him. Fuck APAC for defending him. Let's see what this piece of shit has to say.
Well, look, the ground beneath us, may be shifting.
16
Class
viewers,
is
please
increasingly
subscribe.
replacing
I
race
appreciate you
as the
all
most
so
powerful
very
predictor
much. I'm
of
out of
voting
one.
behavior in American politics, and by class I mean educational attainment. There were a few congressional districts that saw a greater swing toward Donald Trump than my congressional district, New York 15, in the Bronx. The Bronx is one of the most democratic areas in the country. The median
We're
level
not-
of
we're
educational
not
attainment is a high
Democrats,
school diploma
Pyro.
or less.
We only
In
tolerate
2012,
Democrats.
President Barack Obama won 96% of the vote in the Bronx. 2024, Vice President Harris only won 74%, a more than 20-point swing. Or take Starr County, which is almost exclusively Latino. It has voted for the Democratic Party since the 19th century. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won by more than 60 percentage points. In 2024, Donald Trump won nearly 60% of the vote. And so for me, the lesson learned from the 2024 election is that voters of color can no longer be treated as a monolith or taken for granted. We as Democrats have to hustle for every vote and every voting block, and no one and nothing can be taken for granted.
So
And what were the turnout numbers on that so that we can make the analysis complete, you jackass? It's not
Yeah.
just about the movement and the percentages. It's about the turnout, because the turnout would affect those percentages.
I think it's we could go on for hours looking back at what happened, but I'd like to look forward and ask you, did you hear a lot of people saying Democrats failed to meet people where they are? You got to meet
Did you,
people where they
Megan?
are, and you have to have a resounding message that breaks through, right? It sounds great, right? I want to know how. I want to know what that looks like exactly, especially in this climate of
Okay,
disinformation, in a climate
firefighters.
where clearly
Okay.
Democrats lost terribly in the worst way ever. And we are sitting here, Democrats, in a state of, I think, denial
gonna
as
get
to
to
how to
that,
move forward, or
Soleil.
maybe a lack of knowledge as to how to move forward.
We're
So
gonna get to
educate
that.
us. How do you meet people where they are in this climate? What should Democrats be focusing on, and how should they be doing it?
I'm waiting,
Well, look,
Pyro.
for me, the Democratic Party should have a simple mission, which is to lower costs, lower crime rates, make government work for the people rather than for the interest groups.
How?
And we have to recognize that working
No,
class voters of
I
color
agree, lyrical
are
serial.
largely
Like fucking MSDNC is fucking correct. These are defenders of the establishment. Fucking, they will put on anyone who is like the biggest fucking sellouts. Richie Torres is no fucking. He's the perfect example. This guy will do anything for money. There's a reason why a tweet of mine, even though I am not verified, even though Elon Musk's Twitter does not reward people who aren't verified, they suppress a whole hell of a lot of people who speak out against Israel, especially. My tweet still kind of took off a little bit because I criticized Richie Torres because of the money that he takes from AIPAC and the fact that he doesn't give a flying fuck about the fact that Israel is dropping bombs on fucking children in Gaza. Like, and of course, MSNBC is not going to fucking like even pay a nod of attention to any of that fucking shit. We cannot stand these fuckers. We probably we both voted for Kamala. I wouldn't hold it past Dieter. I don't think I've ever asked him, but like we both voted for Kamala in this election.
Yeah, I voted for Kamala, but it's important to vote in California because of the ballot initiatives, no matter what. you know.
Yeah, like a lot of the
You
propositions.
you always got to vote in California because of the
Yeah,
propositions.
like
on issues like
for various reasons. We can always get into that. For like, we can get deeper into it, but
public safety and
we'll
border
get there
security.
eventually.
And we
Yeah,
have
go
to
ahead.
meet them where they are. If we swing the pendulum too far to the center,
Okay,
just
so wait a
goodness.
second. How do we
move
meet
forward.
them?
So educate us.
How do we meet them
People
where they
in
are?
this
Let's hear
climate.
some
What should Democrats be focusing on,
specifics.
and how should they be doing it?
Specificity, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, look, for me, the Democratic Party should have a simple mission, which is to lower costs, lower crime rates, make government work for the people rather than for the interest groups. And we have to recognize that working class voters of color are largely in the center on issues like public safety and border security. And we have to meet them where they are. If we swing the pendulum too far to the left, we risk alienating working class people of color. And working class people of color are no different from most Americans. Most Americans want the basics, an affordable cost of living, safe streets, secure borders. And so we should be focused like a laser on delivering the basics and ignore the fashionable nonsense that is taking
Right.
hold in our politics.
Okay. And when you say swing too far to the left, what do you mean specifically?
Yes,
In the
tell
case of the
us.
2024 election, it was immigration. As I've said repeatedly, I felt the president did
Which is
too late,
total
to secure the border. And he paid-
fucking bull shit. Not only did the Kamala Harris campaign run to the right on the border, so did so many of the Senate races and House races. I can't even tell you how many fucking ads I saw talking about, well, we need to focus on the border. We're focused on the border. We need they might as well have ran as Republicans on the border in
Yeah.
particular.
Well, she
Like,
said she
it's-
would submit the same bill.
Yes,
She said she would
Kamala
submit the same
Harris
bill.
literally said that she would fucking sign the immigration bill that was put forward by Republicans that gives them basically every single fucking thing that they wanted. The thing that Chuck Schumer proposed in the fucking Senate and passed it down to the House. Like oh, okay, you fucking you want to be serious about the border? Here you go. And Donald Trump called fucking multiple representatives in the House and senators and said, do not sign this bill because I want to campaign on this issue. I need to campaign on this issue to scare my base about the fucking border. So that bill that would have given Republicans and Trump, so he says, every fucking thing that they wanted and more, they killed so they can campaign on it and scare you. They don't give a fuck about actually fixing the bill. The
Dude,
border.
you could win an election just going after AIPAC.
Yeah.
You could win. Richie Torres
Really
got 1.5 million. Hakeem Jeffries got 1.6 million. Chuck Schumer got 1.7 million. I
Yeah.
mean, the list goes on. They own
Yeah.
everybody.
AIPAC
They
owns
own
the,
everybody.
AIPAC
They own the
owns-
fucking federal government.
They own the federal fucking government.
Paid
The
a heavy price in the
AIPAC
2024 election.
controls everything. Go ahead.
For me, both inflation and immigration were the leading causes of Democratic defeat in 2024. And in the case of immigration, I felt like the Biden administration did make fatal miscalculations that cost us the election.
Congressman, good morning. Great to have you back on the show. I was struck by the term you just used, fashionable nonsense, and you get at some of that in your piece, and you share an anecdote about talking to a white activist who called themselves a police
Black Rock.
abolitionist, saying, I'm here to help you, we're going to defund the police, we're going to get rid of the
funds
cops.
both
And you
political
said,
parties,
hang
by
on a
the way.
second. Can you talk a
Yep.
little bit about that conversation, why you believe that's an important message, too, for Democrats?
Yeah, so I spoke to an activist who was advocating for abolishing the police, and I said, let me get this straight. You want to conduct a social experiment on the lowest income communities of color in places like the Bronx. And what happens if that experiment goes badly? What happens if it leads to an outbreak of gun violence and gang violence and youth violence? Like, you live in a wealthy white neighborhood in an ivory tower, insulated from the consequences of your utopianism, whereas my constituents are poor people of color who have to live with high costs and high crime rates. And we should be speaking to the lived experience of people of color.
Yeah, you ever talk to them about their health care? You ever talk to them about their educational needs? You just said that education is the gateway to economic prosperity. So why don't we reform education to make that more available to them? Instead, you're talking about the southern border.
When you consider
Right.
some of the most utopian ideas in politics, whether it's abolishing prisons or abolishing the police or abolishing ICE, those ideas do not come from working class people from places like the Bronx. Those ideas typically come from activists and academics who are out of touch with working class people.
So, Congressman, you spoke about how just now
Bingo.
the Democrats have
You're
lost
right,
at least
Solange,
portion of
yep.
their base, this idea of the black, brown, and white voters together. But yet at the same time, we are seeing just now from the new administration memos going out to federal agencies last night saying to pause, to put on leave anyone who they deem a DEI hire, which it is being interpreted as a first step towards eliminating those people. So get us, first of all, just those positions. So give us your reaction just to that news, but also how do you then rectify this? How do you square the circle here from more voters leaning towards Trump, even as the administration takes these steps?
Look, I disapprove of the actions of the Trump administration, and for me, Trump lacks the character to be president of the United States. But I'll speak bluntly. I'm just not aware of a single. I've never had a constituent tell me that his or her highest priority was DEI. My constituents tell me we're concerned about crime rates, about the cost of living, about housing. We want you to focus
Yeah,
on those
you live
issues.
in fucking New York.
And when did Kamala Harris ever bring up DEI? It's just
Yeah.
the fact that she was black.
She didn't
And it's
fucking
also
run on any of that
my
shit
priority
at
was gonna
all.
lie. I obviously disapprove of just about everything Donald Trump has done so far. But we have to focus on the issues that matter to voters. And for example, Donald Trump's decision to pardon, the perpetrators of January 6th who assaulted police officers, that's something that's
Call them terrorists.
They are literally fucking terrorists.
Call them
By
terrorists.
fucking definition, by definition,
there should be a
everybody
cheat
who
sheet.
showed up on January 6th, on January 6th, by definition, are all fucking
Are terrorists.
Yeah,
Call them terrorists.
by definition.
There should be like a cheat sheet of like I'm talking about top-down leadership, guys. I know
Yeah.
everybody wants it to be grassroots. We need
Yeah.
to take the top of the house.
Yes.
Deeply unpopular and deeply offensive to people across the political spectrum. And that's an issue on which we should be focusing.
Congressman, you and I were speaking in the break, and you made
That's an issue on which we should be focusing. So how are we supposed to focus on that issue other than complain about it because it's done? It's done. What
Yeah.
should you can extrapolate this? See, this is what makes me want to be a coach for these people is you can segue that into not only dropping the terrorist bomb, but saying let's never forget why January 6th happened.
Yes.
And let's make sure January 6th never happens again by making sure a
Yeah.
Republican president never happens again.
Yeah, it literally wouldn't have happened without fucking Trump. Period.
I mean,
period. End of
that
story.
comment
End
about
of story.
DI. So going forward, how do you think your party can position itself as best as possible to take back the
Fucking,
House
I
in the
witnessed that shit. I
2026
fucking
midterms?
watched
Is
it
as
as
you
it
suggested,
happened.
by making sure that more candidates like
God
yourself from
damn
the
it.
center right of the Democratic Party run for office?
Look, I feel like we should, and this is true of every elected official, we should always challenge ourselves to ensure that we're remaining in touch with our constituents. Because when you're in Washington, D.C., you can easily become out of touch, you can easily become insulated. And, when deciding what position to take on an issue, we should ask ourselves, what is
So
the
much
position
for
of the
law
American
and
people?
order,
Like, if this were
Pyro.
a referendum, take on an issue, we should ask ourselves, what is the position of the American people? Like, if this
Okay, so that is the definition of lack of leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is knowing what your people that you represent want and making sure they want it for the right reasons, making sure they know what they're talking about. For example, with the southern border and the immigration law that Kamala wanted to reintroduce. That was not the right bill.
Yeah.
That was not the right bill. That was a decoy that Chuck Schumer used to trap Trump and trap Mike Johnson.
this were a referendum, how would
Yeah.
the American people vote on that issue? Because I feel like you cannot veer too far from the.
It's just
like, if this were a
consumer
position to
politics.
take on an issue, we should ask ourselves.
It really is.
No, what is the position of the American people? Like, if this were a referendum, how would the American people vote on that issue?
Well, sometimes the American people need to be educated on issues. Sometimes the American
Yeah.
people are sick and tired of hearing politicians tell them that immigrants are pieces of shit who don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
Sometimes leadership is stepping up and saying, I am so sick of hearing everybody hate on immigrants. Let me stick up for immigrants for a second.
Yeah, let alone fucking any marginalized fucking group and like to begin with. Crying out loud. They're all
Because I feel
fucking
like you can-
cowards.
You cannot veer too far from the public without risking a public backlash. And on immigration.
And that means losing your job, right?
Yeah.
You can't veer too far from the American public or you might lose your job. That's garbage, man. If you're
Yeah.
if you're connected with your community that you represent, you can tell them things they don't want to hear. You
Yeah.
can talk to them. It's a matter of communication skills, and this guy's communication skills are pedestrian.
Yeah.
The pendulum was swung so far to the left that it has led to a public backlash that has made our country more restrictionist, more right-wing, more reactionary, not less.
Oh,
All right,
so it's the
Democratic
left's
Congressman Richie
fault.
Torres of New York.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that checks out because we swung a bit too fucking far to the left. We have Donald Trump and the fucking fascists in power. We have Project 2025 fucking implemented right now. It's like this motherfucker didn't pay attention at all to the Kamala Harris campaign and how they tried to fucking capitulate to the right on fucking various issues that they harped away on for fucking years at that point. Fucking bullshit. If they actually did capitulate to the far left as they fucking call it, maybe if they actually changed positions on how we approach Gaza, all those votes that went to Biden in 2020 would have actually went to fucking Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
The Bernie coalition, the Squad coalition, the progressives. But
Yeah.
Kamala Harris didn't campaign with them. She didn't fucking speak to them. And here we fucking are. Like, they ran a center-right campaign. Unfucking deniable. I have to piss. You're going to have to take over for the next minute if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll literally fucking right back.
No, not a problem. I mean, it's the issue that I struggled with for a little while is immigration because there's this built-in cultural assumption in American society that If someone's getting something, I want to know that they're getting it for a good reason. Why aren't I getting it? It's not fair, yada, yada, yada. This whole culture of making sure that I get mine, screw everybody else. Immigration is where that cultural assumption lives. It is absolutely outrageous. But I would encourage you guys to get on Open Secrets and check out AIPAC's giving, because it is amazing how many of these politicians are getting more than $1 million per from AIPAC. It's just absolutely absurd. Here, why don't I just share this tab with you guys? These are the biggest beneficiaries of AIPAC. Joe Biden got $4 million. Robert Menendez, independent from New Jersey, got $2.5 million. Hillary Clinton got $2.3 million. I mean, this is all lifetime. So Chuck Schumer's gotten $1.7 million. As mentioned, Hakeem Jeffries got $1.6. I mean, the list goes on, y'all. Campaign finance is the root of all evil in American politics, and a reckoning is coming. MSDNC has taken an absolute nosedive in ratings ever since the election, and ever since Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. So wherever you're getting your information, if you're on the left, watch Morning Joe to figure out where the baby boomer liberals are at, because it invigorates you to understand that the only way progressivism is really going to have a chance is if we break through a lot of these cultural assumptions.
I have 21
about
viewers.
Issues like immigration, issues like education. I mean, Trump says in one of the debates, I have concepts of a plan as to how to fix healthcare. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Not
And
even
neither do
close.
Democrats. Neither do Democrats. How are you going to fix healthcare? Oh, we're going to tweak some stuff. And that's what Bernie said on his most recent interview with Hasanabi, was that this is a political party that doesn't think the system's broken.
Yeah.
They won't
That-
even
no,
they
yeah.
won't even get out, they don't even get out the gates of saying that the system is
No.
broken.
No,
And
yeah.
that's step one. Is
It
for
really
any candidate,
fucking is.
for any Democratic candidate, for me to have my respect, you have got to acknowledge that this system of conservative capitalism, it's not
Yeah.
a version of capitalism that could actually have made sense, because a lot of these other Scandinavian countries, they're capitalist societies too. They've just found ways to manage the relationship between the people and the government and the private sector a lot better. And that's
Yeah.
what matters most, is the intersection between the citizen, the federal government, and the private sector. That's what makes
Bingo.
society work. And in this country, the
Bingo.
private sector owns the government.
Yeah. No, yeah. Pyro says, meanwhile, Trump for the second time has refused to take his presidential pay. Doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean shit. He has the wealthiest people in the country, not only in his cabinet, but funding him. Like, did you watch the inauguration? 3 of the world's richest fucking people attended that. You
Yeah.
think they're just there for fun? No,
Right.
they want fucking favors.
Want
They want
power.
to be gods.
Yeah.
They want to be fucking gods. They want more favors for their companies, for their ventures, so they have more control, more for themselves. Why do you think fucking Elon Musk is going after Italy, fucking Japan, Canada, Germany? He wants to spread his influence. And he can't do that if he wasn't the fucking richest person in the world.
Yeah, but his days are numbered. Somebody's going to take him out.
Maybe.
Somebody's
We'll
gonna
see.
take him out. I got
Yeah.
another one for you. This is my personal favorite. This guy is the Antichrist right here. He and the two Steves.
Trump is literally an atheist. Pyro,
with us. There's so much happening so
he-
quickly, but let me get your thoughts on something
he's
that
not a Christian.
we just
Go
mentioned
ahead,
in the
Dita.
intro here, which is that the Trump administration is taking steps to deputize U.S. state and local law enforcement to work with ICE. How would that work? And clearly there's going to be some cities where they're going to refuse to do that, right?
Yeah, so this is an example of how President
Gone.
Trump is
Gone,
unleashing
Alex.
a vast and broad array
It's gone.
of federal statutory authorities to secure the homeland. Authorities that Congress has enacted that exist in statute but that have never been used before. the Secretary of Homeland Security has the authority to deputize both federal law enforcement as well as state and local law enforcement and the National Guard to conduct immigration enforcement activities. The Secretary of Homeland Security
Perfect
has
point.
already used that
So,
authority
yeah,
to deputize
literally
other
true.
federal law enforcement, including all the law enforcement branches at DOJ. That authority will be leveraged shortly to deputize state and local law enforcement to conduct immigration arrests as well.
Watch it.
Additionally,
Watch the
there's an authority known
inauguration.
as 287G in the Immigration and Nationality Act. They'll be used to enroll National Guard operating in state capacity to assist and support the Border Patrol in the conduct of immigration enforcement.
No,
You've also
Trump's
seen
not
the
a
reference
Christian.
the military deportation flights that are taking place. For the first time in American history, under President Trump's command and control, military aircraft are being used to remove illegal aliens from this country as part
This
of a
fucking
fast,
Nazi dude.
coordinated interagency operation to defend the homeland and repel the invasion. These are just some of the many authorities that President Trump has leveraged in his first days in office to end the migrant invasion of the U.S. homeland.
So I would just point out, we just played a clip in the tease, Stephen. That,
It doesn't
two
matter.
clips of President
He'll
Biden
say
saying,
whatever
"I don't have any more authority on this.
to
Congress is
gain
going to have to do
favor.
something." But everything that you're pointing out, these are statutes that are on the books already. These are things that.
Oh no!
outside
Like
the Congress
if he
and Homeland
was
Security-
okay, hold on, pause it real quick. I need to respond to this guy. It doesn't matter if I don't like he could be a Christian all he wants, honestly. As long as he's actually
Wait,
a
your
Christian.
boy CNC Pyro is saying he has confessed himself he is a Christian time and time again.
It doesn't fucking shit.
Since when does Donald Trump word mean anything? Since when does his word mean anything?
Do you remember when he said 2 Corinthians instead of 2 Corinthians?
Yeah, he doesn't know the fucking New
yeah.
Testament.
When he was asked what his favorite Bible verse was, and he couldn't give a straight answer. When he was asked if he prefers the Old Testament or the New Testament, and he said both. It's like he doesn't fucking know because he doesn't fucking care. He just appeals to evangelicals to get their vote. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always been.
Alex
But-
Easton made an interesting point, though. What about the $1 billion the Democrats spent on the campaign?
Yeah,
Alex, very
yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the consulting class, and
Yes.
a lot of people got rich.
Yep.
You know, finding creative ways for Kamala to make, to spend all that money. They had the Sphere in Vegas going for Kamala. I mean, is that going to help you win votes as
No,
much
it's
as
not.
standing
Yeah.
up for immigrants or talking about student loan debt forgiveness or universal health care? No, it's not going to matter.
No.
American
No, of
people
course.
are stupid, but they're not that stupid.
Yeah, I
Cheap
like
food.
listen, we're not saying that Christians have to be perfect, that Christians have to be scholars and whatnot, but look no further than this week. Trump and JD Vance and all of MAGA world's reaction to that bishop that pleaded with Trump to show mercy on the vulnerable.
Hold on, I want to take care of Megan here real quick. Just saying, can you put up her
Sure,
chat?
sure.
It says Megan says just saying no one is in a place to tell someone else how to practice their religion or that they're not a member for knowing enough. That's where you're wrong, because I've studied the New Testament in both an academic setting, in a Sunday school setting, and in an analytical setting for the many episodes that I did on the Who Are MAGA series, Bible Beaters. Check out that text, because if you actually do study the New Testament, it's very easy to figure out who the real Christians and fake Christians are. And intuitively, what's a better way to destroy the integrity and the cultural and societal value of a religion that celebrates immigrants, that encourages people to treat each other with respect and love, right? Is it to take that religion straight on, or is it to act as if you are part of that religion and then fractionalize that religion? Because that's what conservatism has done. They have fractionalized Christianity into conservative Christians and real Christians, because you can't be a real Christian and be a conservative American. There is nothing Christian about American conservatism.
Bingo.
It
And
is,
yeah.
fuck you, I got mine, this is a Christian nation, which isn't true. And they try to put their values into our society so they can feel better about themselves. Modern day American conservative Christianity, just like I say in one of my Who Are MAGA episodes, is narcissistic Christianity. It's
Bingo.
not about Christ or his message. It's about them feeling like they're going to heaven because they're on the right team.
Yeah. That's literally it. Like, like you nailed you fucking nailed it so good that I forgot what I was actually going to say.
We can go back to Miller. We
Like-
can go back to Antichrist Miller if you want. We've
Yeah,
only got a couple
fuck-
more minutes.
no,
Let's
of
go back to
course.
this asshole.
Fucking-
This guy's a fucking gold mine for content.
No,
I
for
hate
real.
him.
This
If
guy.
I
like,
would
if
I
he
would
wasn't the
give
fucking
up my freedom to
Antichrist,
beat
he'd
the
be a
shit out of this guy.
he'd be a subservient to the fucking Antichrist. This fucking guy.
Employed. He could have done all of these things, correct?
Yes, every single authority that I've mentioned and many more.
The
were
world's
enacted by
brutal,
Congress.
Pyro.
The president went all the way back to 1798 through 2025 and identified every statute in existence that allows him to secure and defend the American homeland. So 1798, we have the Alien Enemies Act, which will be used shortly to remove illegal alien gang members such as Tren Derogua from the United States. Congress also passed Remain in Mexico Authority that President Trump was the first president in American history to use. As of today, Martha, that is operational. It is up and running, and we are using Remain in Mexico. President Trump is also reactivating our Safe Third agreements to end asylum fraud across the southwest border. And as mentioned earlier, President Trump is using all federal law.
Hold on, your chat's blowing up. I want to make sure.
No,
CNC
you're right.
Pyro, CNC Pyro, you have let your hate cloud your better judgment. Let me tell you something, man. My judgment informs my hate because my hate is righteous. You know why? Because there's nothing wrong with hating evil. And
Yes.
MAGA and Project 2025 is fucking evil. And if you don't agree with that, either go do your homework and try to figure it out on your own and figure out how wrong you are on your own, or find somebody else who you'll listen to.
No,
Because I
like-
can't help you. I can't help you if you think that there's anything Christian or good about MAGA trash Project 2025.
That's the fucking thing. That's really all this comes down to. I need every single one of you watching to understand right the fuck now. There is a reckoning coming between conservatism and Christianity. And this is a video that I actually have in the works. This is like, of course, I do my live streams. Me and Dieter do our show. This is the Left Coast. By the way, subscribe. I know there's like 15 to 20 of you guys watching. I really, really appreciate it. But the thing is, conservatives are going after that bishop for pleading with Trump to show mercy to the vulnerable. What the fuck do you think Jesus preached? I'm a fucking atheist. And even I understand that Jesus sees all of us as victims of sin, and it is not our place to judge and to sit here and cheer on obvious atrocities carried out by false prophets like fucking Donald Trump is fucking disgusting. That is something you're going to have to reconcile with. Do you serve Donald Trump and MAGA, or do you serve your Christian God? Let's go ahead and continue with
So
this.
Ryan Lovett says, I love how heathen turds tell me I'm Christianing wrong. Yeah, I will, because I know what I'm talking about. And secondly, this Solenia has a very poignant point that she made. Of course, if you read the Bible, you would know Jesus said his disciples would be known by their works.
Yes. Yes.
Couldn't have said it better than myself,
Perfect.
Solenia. Think
Perfect.
lovely to have you in chat. You sound
Yes.
like a fucking real Christian. That's what you sound like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Enforcement to
Yeah.
support and assist in the identification and removal of priority illegal alien targets from the United States and out of the country. And of course, the Department of Defense has been unleashed both on the border and with respect to aircraft
we're seeing
to end
it.
the illegal immigration into our country.
It's extraordinary.
Because
One of
God
the things
isn't
that strikes me when I
actually
look
real,
at sound
Megan.
bites like the one we played on the
Just
way
saying.
in, where you have someone exiting the country who said, "I'm telling the messages don't cross. They're sending all of us back." And then I want to play this tape of a migrant who was taken into custody in the criminal roundup. Here's what he had to say. You may have seen this tape. I want to get your reaction to it. Let's watch.
I'm not going back to Haiti. Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything.
There you
that he
go.
did for me, bro.
There you go, Solenia. Yeah,
So
that's-
Solenia, if you're
you're right.
not
Yeah.
not to mislabel you. I don't want to mislabel you. You sound like
the thing
so
is,
you
you
sound like
understand.
you sound like you know more about the New Testament than a conservative Christian. How about that? Because
Yeah,
I'm not a
there you go.
Christian either, but I did my homework and I appreciate people
Yeah.
who did theirs.
Of
because he's not
course,
going back
of
to Haiti
course.
after you heard what he said, and
going
cheering on
back.
Biden and Obama. What's your reaction to that, and what's the impact on people who
No,
were
no,
considering,
literally,
you know, I guess,
Ryan,
try to get in?
atheists literally know more about the Bible than Christians do, because there's like a lot of atheists I know wouldn't be atheists if they didn't read the Bible and realize it's full of not only contradictions, it's full of atrocities, and it's filled with it's just filled with nonsense. It's filled with fucking nonsense.
Well, the Old Testament is very much
Speaking of
of
the New Testament,
yeah, but the Old Testament is the kind of gets the reputation of brimstone
give-
and fire,
give us a
right?
break.
Like
Yeah.
but the Old Testament is very much of a vengeful God that's described
Yeah.
in the Old Testament, and the concept of forgiveness and that we are born into sin is actually, like, if you extrapolate some of the lessons of the New Testament, for example, confirmation bias is
Yeah.
actually alluded to in the New Testament. Paul talked about it
Yeah.
when he was talking about training the ministers. He said, you got to train your ministers right, because if you don't train your ministers right, then the followers are going to go follow some douchebag minister who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about and preaches the
Bingo.
false word of God.
Bingo.
So, I mean,
Bingo.
and you've got to kind of separate the Gospels from Paul. Like,
Yeah.
and by the way, if you ever want to know if someone's a real Christian or has actually studied the text, ask them how many words there are for love in ancient Greek. Because if they don't know the answer to that question, then they don't understand the importance of interpretation of
Yeah.
the original text. By the way, there are 6 words for love in ancient Greek. So you got to do your homework here, guys. Let the
Yeah.
let the people who did their homework lead the way on these conversations,
I-
and not people like Ryan Lovett here who thinks he knows everything.
I literally would not be here today if it was not for the atheist community of the early 2010s. I'm talking about the people who took a look at the abundance of Christian rhetoric, not only in politics but in society as well, and the lack of evidence to support the claims, yet these people want to hold jurisdiction and authority over an entire society. This,
It's narcissism.
yeah,
it's narcissism.
it's
They're not
it's
intelligent.
projecting.
So they're not intelligent or talented enough to ascend to a position of power. So they would rather feel like their power that is influential in their life is on their same team, is part of their same
Yeah.
culture. And I
No,
talk
yeah.
about it in one of my essays that superficial Christians, let's call them, they don't know the text. They want someone higher up on the social hierarchy to tell them what they think. So Ryan Lovett
That's
here
it. That's it. Yeah.
is in your chat. Ryan, let me talk to you directly. You have very low existential IQ. If you do know anything about intelligence, there's what's called, what's his name? Howard Gardner's 9 different forms of intelligence. Existential IQ is actually a form of intelligence. The big questions: why are we here? What are we supposed to do with our lives? Yada, yada, yada. You have
Yeah.
such a low existential IQ that you cannot come up with those answers on your own, and therefore
You need
are
the Bible.
reliant to a 2,000-year-old text that you need interpreted for you, that you
Yeah.
can't even interpret yourself because you don't have the academic credentials to do it yourself. So you go to church on Sundays, and the preacher tells you to vote Republican because that's what good Christians do, when
Yeah.
all that preacher is doing what he's told to do by the powers that be, because it's in his best financial interest for that to be the case too.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
Ryan, and this is someone else said about judging. He said, I don't think atheists. Yeah, this is Megan. Okay, we like you, Megan, but I don't think atheists can judge real Christianity. So you guys should ideally move on. No. So I will judge Christianity because
this is where I come from.
This is a big word for Americans, is judgment. This is a big word for Americans. Don't judge not lest ye be judged, right? Well, I say in the very first episode of my YouTube channel, feel free to judge me because I'm going to be doing a lot of judging others. If you are less intelligent, less informed, and less societally in tune with America, I'm going to call you an intellectually inferior person. If you think that MAGA is good for America, you know, somebody just said, oh, he's done some good things. Trump's done some good things and some bad things. Give me a break. Okay.
Yeah,
you're living in denial. You're living in denial.
This show wouldn't exist. This show literally wouldn't exist if I didn't come across Dieter's initial videos that he put out on his channel when he was first starting out his channel. I found it brilliant enough to be like, okay, let's link up, let's chat, and let's eventually it turned into this show. Like religion is literally like it's just the opium of the masses. Like there is so much hypocrisy among conservative Christians, especially, and that's why I said I think there is there's a reckoning coming because there's so much contradiction between the ideals of these these self-proclaimed Christians and these self-proclaimed conservatives that like how is this supposed to carry on? How are you supposed to look at?
Well, I do it like this. So we got so there's someone we should bring up right now. His name's Benjamin Dixon, who is a very hardcore Christian and also a very hardcore lefty. And I respect him and his Christian identity because he actually practices what he preaches. And the real authentic message of Christ is one of charity, is one of socialism, really. Give away all your possessions and follow me. So, you know, I don't hate on religion per se. I hate on bad religion.
Yes.
I hate on religion when it's used as a political tool, which is what conservative Christianity is. And if you're ever talking to someone, see, this is what conservative Christians try to do. They try to say, well, show it to me in the Bible. Like, that's not what it says in the Bible. Or here's some more scripture. And they just have this one playbook that they draw from. And my challenge to them is, if you can communicate your values to me in a secular way, then I will respect them. If you have to use that 2,000-year-old text to explain your value system to me, I have no respect for it. Look at what has been done in the... I mean, the Bible was used to justify slavery, okay? The Bible was used to justify slavery.
Yeah,
so shut up.
And also, the Bible permitted abortion.
Yeah, the honey potion or whatever.
Yep, the bitter water. Yep.
Yes, thank you, hell yeah, 9. Yeah, it really is that simple, isn't it? And we talked about this a bunch. The founding fathers, okay? They were all pretty well-educated people. And you know what a lot of that education had to do with? History, particularly Western European history, and the 300 years of religious wars that led up to the founding of America, that preceded the founding of America.
Yeah.
Okay? They decided that they didn't want to bring that bullshit baggage across the Atlantic Ocean for their new country.
Yep.
It wasn't just about protecting the church from the corruption of the political institutions. It was about protecting both.
Yeah.
And basically saying what I just said a second ago, if you can't find a secular way to communicate your values or positions that derive from your religion, then I'm not going to respect them. Because
no, of course.
those books that you're relying on were written a hell of a long time ago, and a lot of things have changed. And most obviously, the global economy in which we now live.
Yeah. No, honestly, like, so if everybody can understand, I know there's like 19, 20 of you watching. Make sure you subscribe. Keep up with us. It really means a whole hell of a lot. But listen. The only thing that the hardcore conservatives, the Republican Party, what have you, operate on are hypocrisy and double standards. And they will weaponize Christianity to whatever extent it will allow them to go. If there's something that they cannot justify, something that is inhumane, they will point to Christianity, they will point to the Bible, they will point to their faith as a justification, just like the fucking Nazis did in their dehumanization of the Jewish people.
Yeah, and by the way,
there is no difference. I
a
defy
lot of
you
people-
to tell me. I defy you to tell me what fucking difference there is.
So, one of my crazy conservative friends, I'm not friends with him anymore, tried to tell me that Hitler was a Christian, and
He
I'm
wasn't.
like, no, he wasn't. And the easiest way
He utilized it to get
easiest-
as a means to an end.
but he didn't really. It wasn't a big part of their propaganda.
Hey, have a good
and
night, Selenia. I
he
really
wa-
appreciate you joining in tonight. Have a good night. It really means a lot that you're here. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next stream.
Jesus was a Jew. Okay.
Yes,
Jesus was a Jew. There's no way Hitler was down with Jesus. Okay.
that's
Give
right,
me a
Megan.
break.
That's right.
CNC Pyro, by the way, I want to take this guy on because he's funny. This is blasphemy, guys. I will pray for the good Lord rebukes you quickly for this. Yeah, well, keep your prayers for yourself, dumbass, because you're voting against your economic interests by voting Republican unless you're a 1%er with an investment portfolio.
For every MAGA type, for every Trump supporter that's in here, I want to know exactly what you think about the Stargate initiative that was announced by Donald Trump on day 3 of his second term, alongside Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, and some other guy who I forget the name of. The announcement of $500 billion over time being invested into AI, and then Larry Ellison going on to say, with this incredible breakthrough of technology, with this investment, with this breakthrough in AI, we can create cancer vaccines based on mRNA that can be personalized for every single American. What the fuck do you think about that? I want you to reconcile with that. I want you to go and watch that that announcement, that committee, like between all of them. I want to know what you all think of that. I'm genuinely curious, because that, above anything, above the fucking multitude of things that Trump has done in his first week, I want to know especially what MAGA thinks of that.
All right, do you want to go back to Miller?
Let's go back. Let's finish that off, and then we'll do the China thing.
4 years of national humiliation and embarrassment are over. Illegal aliens are no longer exempt from our laws. Far from it. They are the priority for immigration enforcement, for law enforcement in this country. And so that illegal alien you mentioned, he's being shipped back. And every single illegal alien that is identified as illegal is going to be successfully removed from this country. We are not going to allow the trespass and invasion of this country anymore. And the Department of Justice is going to aggressively use its authorities to prosecute immigration crime. Child traffickers are going to be going to jail for decades. Human smugglers are going to be put behind bars.
Okay.
Individuals engaged in sex trafficking are going to spend the rest of their lives on this planet in jail and behind bars. Local officials who violate our laws.
Okay. Does that include?
I mean, we have
so every resource we have is going to be deployed and it's going to be used, Martha.
I love the message that's going to gangs who have made even more money on trafficking people than drugs in recent years. 16 states have known gang presence and cartel operations.
Thank you, Ryan.
But I want to just give
I
you
really
something
appreciate
that
your
we just got
engagement.
moments ago from ABC is reporting this, and that's all I've got on it so far. ICE agents denied entry to a Southside elementary school in the Chicago public school system, and they're saying that they followed protocols, the principal says, and did not allow the agents inside. Are you aware of that situation, and is that something that is acceptable? We've heard talk about schools and churches as sanctuary spots.
There's no sanctuary for criminal aliens in this country, nor is there a sanctuary for child trafficking, for child smuggling, or for child endangerment. ICE officers will take the actions necessary to protect the lives and safety of our children and to identify individuals who are involved in the smuggling and trafficking of our children. In order to conduct these investigations, in order to protect the safety and security of children all across America, federal law enforcement needs unrestricted access to conduct basic investigations.
Sorry.
500,000 children were trafficked into the country
This
under Joe
Ryan
Biden.
guy
That is
is
a stain on
really
our national
fucking
conscience, it's a stain on our
funny,
history. It's ending now. And the Department of Justice, working with the Department of Homeland Security, is going to prioritize the end of human trafficking, the end of human smuggling. And the entire machinery of government is going to be used to stop the cartels, to stop the coyotes, to stop the traffickers, to stop the smugglers from preying on our citizens and exploiting our country. We are not going to be trammeled anymore.
All
We're
lies,
not going to
by
be
the
trampled
way.
anymore.
All
We're certainly
total
not going to be
bullshit.
abused and violated anymore. We're going to be a free country again, Martha.
Well, it's
Who's uglier, Ben Shapiro or Stephen Miller? God is
Stephen
speaking
Miller.
of God. God is
Stephen-
telling you.
And
God
the
is
thing
telling
is-
you that this guy is evil just by looking at him.
I mean,
okay?
the thing is,
sometimes
like,
the looks are actually all you need to use to judge someone. And when it comes to Ben Shapiro, Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, the whole Trump family, all you got to do is look at him and be like, "Yep, those motherfuckers are evil."
yeah. The thing is, like Ben Shapiro, if he never would have like gotten into like hardcore conservatism, he'd be a decent looking guy. He'd be a funny guy. He'd be a guy like that would be like unintentionally fucking funny.
Who?
Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like,
something that we've turned.
I actually I find his take on every single Star Wars movie so far actually kind of interesting. But like the fact that he's also like a fucking dumbass and will like simp for the Republican Party, like the fact that he fucking downplayed the Elon Musk Sig Heil says everything you fucking need to know. But oh my god. Megan,
too
yes,
much of a
no,
blind
I
eye to
do
the
kind of like Shapiro, but not for his political takes. For the most part, I will tell you that.
No, Ben Shapiro's evil. He's evil.
Trafficking
He really
and the
is,
abuse
yeah.
of children and the slave labor that is going on in some of these factories
Heinous.
in the Southwest. And I look forward to talking to you more about that. Stephen Miller, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Sage, whatever
Alright.
you say.
We got any more of your friends?
I got
here?
a lot. I got a lot.
Let
I
me
got a
see,
lot of funny
Sage.
ones.
Sadly, most individuals such as yourself miss Jesus' greatest miracles hidden in plain sight. And
Hidden
they're
in
all
plain sight.
this verified through his story. The son of a poor carpenter is covered more. Yeah, just so you know, the New Testament, as you have been taught it, is a patriarchal story designed to keep you in your place. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there, Siege, but
Yeah.
you got caught up in the self-righteous bullshit, and you've been told that you're special, and you're not.
Yeah, for real. Hey, thanks
You're
for
not
tuning in,
special.
Invisible American. It means a lot that you're tuning in. We see you. We appreciate you. We love the engagement, and yeah, we do got a fucking we got a crazy 4 years ahead of us, Dieter. Like that's like undeniable for sure.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
gonna be painful, and I think that the most reasonable expectation is that it's gonna be 2028 will be a lot like 2008 and a lot like 2020, where things get so bad that no matter who the incumbent is, the incumbent party is going to lose. So it'll probably be either Newsom,
Literally?
maybe Wes Moore out of Maryland, but Newsom seems like he's the one who's up next.
No, a fucking course. As unfortunate as it is, fuck Gavin Newsom. Can't stand this fucking elitist coastal fucking Democrat ass. It really does. It really is unfortunate, honestly. The fact that me and Alita, thank God for Lord I wine. No kidding. I ran out, so I decided to open up my fucking Andre wine cocktails. It was a pineapple mimosa. It's literally like a fucking sparkling mimosa thing. And oh shit.
This is a good point. Hell
Yeah.
yeah, Nine's got a good point. Both parties just set each other up for the next term. It's a nightmare. Hey,
Yeah. No,
you
yeah.
might be right, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, you might be right. Hell yeah.
I mean,
Nine,
seriously,
that's-
like, what are the Democrats doing? Honestly,
I mean, based on the Democrats' capitulative behavior, I'm inclined to agree with you, man. I'm
like,
inclined to
their
agree with you.
total fucking absence, like,
No
for the
backbone.
moment. Yeah, it's literally fucking worms. All of them.
Well, I mean,
fucking worms.
the APEC funding is enough to get you to figure out that one institution's giving to so many politicians is kind of a microcosm for what's wrong with our system, which is money in politics.
Yeah.
And you've got crackheads on your chat talking about how Jesus is Lord and that's what makes me a Republican, and they don't
Yeah.
even they take that at face value.
Listen, guys. Jesus and the Christian God, they aren't real. They're fake. They're made up.
Well,
They
in
they
fairness,
are mind
in fairness,
control.
Jesus probably existed, and
Maybe.
whether or not no. So
Maybe.
what the likely situation, the likely story of Christ was that it was multiple people, and then all the
Like my
stories
Joker?
became one. All the stories became one person.
Yin
But
yang. Yin yang right here.
yeah, Ryan's going after you aesthetically.
Right. No, as tends to happen when they have no fucking argument, but it happens. It's just whatever.
Hell
I don't
yeah,
give a
Nine
shit.
says, I would like to see a direct democracy. We
Me
all have
too.
a cell phone where we could vote on everything. Yeah, man, I don't know about
That'd be
using
great.
technology to administer of the elections.
It's inevitable.
But yes, we should have a direct democracy, and in places like Australia, you have to vote. You actually
Yes.
get fined if you don't vote.
I like that.
See, there
I
we go.
really,
Here,
really
Ryan
like
Lovett.
that.
Ryan Lovett again. See, this is a good example. I'm glad Ryan's getting so talkative because this is the kind of Christian bully that you run into on the right, where they think they know everything, and as soon as you go directly after their core belief system, which is their religion, they throw temper tantrums like children. Because intellectually
yeah.
speaking, that's what they are.
No, yeah,
You're a child,
this
Ryan.
is-
No one respects you. No one respects you.
Yeah,
who has
like-
an education.
This is literally where I come from. I would not have gotten into politics if it wasn't for the early atheist movement of the early 2010s. Like, it really like the prime directive for me. I need everybody to understand the prime directive for me is like, if there's no evidence backing your claims that is inarguable and unfalsifiable, I have every right to dismiss it because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I remember in 2014 when Bill Nye went against creationist Ken Ham. That was a very significant cultural turning point for not only me but a lot of people, because if you're trying to like use science to justify the Bible like Ken Ham did, and you go against actual evidence, 480,000 years of I-score samples, among countless other things that were brought up by Bill Nye in that debate, you're not going to convince anybody. That's where I come from. And of course, this extends to fucking politics. I believe in the reduction of harm reduction in general, and like I can't stand the Democratic Party. Neither me or Dieter. We can't fucking stand the Democrats. We criticize them all the time because of their fecklessness, their spinelessness, their out of touchness, if that's even a fucking term. Because we care about people. We know where the problems are and what the solutions are. But the problem is,
And that's not what makes us special. Just to be, let me
Yeah,
interject really
like,
quick.
it doesn't make us
that
special
doesn't make
at
that doesn't
all.
make us special. What does make us special is advocating for a different political strategy to get those solutions.
Yes.
That's what we're advocating
Yeah.
for here: is an
not
aggressive,
in this current
unapologetic, non-violent sociocultural revolution akin to the civil rights movement. Because that's what's required, y'all. That's what's required. I mean, and if you want to, Ryan, by the way, Ryan Lovett, go ahead and check out Jesus' thoughts on the rich and immigrants and tell me he would be a fucking Republican in today's America, you idiot. God, know your text, dude. I would smoke you in a debate, and I haven't done that. I haven't gotten
That's the
back into the
thing.
New
That's
Testament
the
for a
thing.
year,
That's
and I
the
still know
fucking
scripture
thing.
better than you.
People like Ryan, like these debates have existed for over a decade. These exact debates have been around for a long ass time. They have been settled. If you don't understand like who comes out on top and who has the better arguments, you need to look back on the history of YouTube between atheists or between scientists and creationists and Christians and Catholics, whoever the fuck, and decide for yourself. Look back on Aaron Ra, on Genetically Modified Skeptic, on The Amazing Atheist, on Bill Nye, on fucking Christopher Hitchens, on
Or
Sam
just know
Harris.
or just study history and look
For
at the
crying out loud,
amount of
for
violence
real.
and war and death that has been
Thank you, Braven.
waged in the name of God. More people have been killed in the name of God than any other reason. So give me a fucking break, dude.
Cheers for real, honestly. I guess
So Megan said we don't know the solutions though. We don't maybe know all the solutions, but
no.
we know quite a
and
few
we
of
don't
them.
claim to. We don't claim to know all.
Right,
the
but we do
solutions
know.
either.
But we do. But I was just saying that doesn't make us special. There are plenty of smart policy advocates out there who have the same, who know a lot more about universal health care than we do. You
Yeah.
know, for example, this is a good example actually of healthcare. So I want to evolve the political strategy surrounding healthcare and the political marketing surrounding it to being not just Medicare for all, because a lot of doctors don't like Medicare. It should be Medicare for all or something better. Like
Yes.
those little that's kind of what we do here is we take the good policy and add salesmanship to it. How do we
Yeah.
sell this policy to the American public? And that's the antithesis of what Richie Torres was just advocating for,
Right.
which is basically just give
Right.
the baby his bottle. Give the baby being the voters, they're whining for their bottle, so give them their bottle, which they think is a hardline, heartless southern border policy. That's what they
Yeah.
think that the citizens want. It's not. People want an immigration system that makes sense. People want someone
Yeah.
to stand up for these poor goddamn immigrants who are slaving away and don't have time to contribute to the public discourse because they're too busy slaving away 2 or 3 jobs. They don't have any time.
Yeah. Listen, Ryan. If you can demonstrate in this chat for all of us right now the unfalsifiable proof and evidence that God exists, we will welcome it. In the meantime, I think
So the only way, so I can actually do that for you within the context of evolution. So, so the
Otherwise,
problem,
we'll just move on.
the problem, yeah, we can move on after this, but let me just
Of
get
course.
this in because it's
Sure.
it's important.
No, of
and
course.
I want people to
course.
take this with them. But
Yeah.
okay, so the problem with evolution's connotation and the way that we use it in public discourse is that there's the subtext of progress, right? If something is evolved, it is superior to that which came before. Not true. Evolution just means an adaptation to the environment. Now, the vehicle for evolution is randomness, right? The randomness of genetic mutation.
Yeah.
Those mutations are either beneficial or disadvantageous for the organism, and so the strength of species, scientists can use better language than I can to come up with it, but basically
mammals
it's the
came along.
randomness-
Yeah,
but
after
basically
the
it's the
dinosaurs.
randomness of cell regeneration that is the vehicle for evolution. That randomness is something that science can't really explain. So if you want to say that the randomness is God, okay, fine. That works as long as you're not overstepping and saying evolution is God. We can have a conversation. As long as your religion motivates you to be kind to your neighbor, as long as you are actually living what the word preaches, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I got no
For real.
problem with that. That's why Buddhists are the best, man, because Buddhists are all about, like, individual responsibility for your own shit. All right, hell yeah, has got another one. Our government should help the other governments create a homeland they wouldn't want to leave. Well, that
Yeah.
actually it was a big reason why there was a surge under Trump's first administration for immigrants at the southern border was because we cut off aid to places like Guatemala and El Salvador.
Yeah, no, I agree. Megan, the complexity of the human eyeball, that happen over the course of millions upon millions of years.
Yeah, that's a cliche. That's something
Yeah,
Christians.
it
that's something
it is a cliche.
A lot of,
Like
stop
creationist-
fighting with science. Stop fighting. Science is not. See, this is the problem.
Creationist talking point.
Science is not trying to pick a fight with religion. Religion is trying
No.
to pick a fight with science.
That's how it's always been. That's how it's been as long as I fucking follow it. Like again,
Since Darwin, really.
No, for
Since
real.
Darwin came along.
Yeah,
really.
no, for real. I would not be into politics if it wasn't for the early atheist movement of like the early 2010s, because like it really does come down to like show your fucking evidence, show your like show facts, like shit that I like any logical and reasonable person is like incapable of arguing with, incapable of proving wrong. Like it's literally that simple. That's where like a lot of like where I come from, at least. Like it's where I'm fucking motivated, honestly.
One thing that and I'll move on to what you want to talk about, StatPat, but just like
Yes.
to give people the
Stop
rights-
checking off the Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, there's a reason why he had his own fucking show. Like, I have the Cosmos DVD. There's a reason why he's so renowned. Like, of course, he's kind of a pompous ass nowadays, but like,
whatever. He's smart and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a
like.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a people mistake confidence for arrogance. It's like if you've done your homework. If you've done your homework and you know what you're talking about, and you quickly realize that the person you're talking to doesn't know as much as you do, chances are you're going to come across as arrogant, maybe even a little superior. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Really? Don't you want
Yeah.
superior intellects in positions of power?
Yeah.
This guy
No,
Ryan Lovett is so fucking hilarious, man. He's
no,
doing wonders for
I
the
love
chat.
him. I hope he's subscribed, and I hope he tunes into our future streams. Okay,
But just the approach though is when you're dealing with these kinds of people, y'all, for those progressives out there that get frustrated talking with conservatives, is the way to really do it is to just ask good questions and keep them talking, because they're not interested in your opinion,
They
and
are.
eventually they'll trip
They
over
are
their own
not.
logic.
No, of course. That's usually 'em how
talking.
it goes. Yeah.
Keep them talking.
Yeah. So I guess to end it off, because it is getting late. It's 11:17 Pacific Standard Time. I gotta make money tomorrow. I think we should end off on the China AI and the fact that the bubble may have popped. And there's been a gigantic, there's been a gigantic meltdown among the Silicon Valley tech bros over it. And I mean, there's literally so fucking much that has happened in the past week in terms of what
You want to hear
Trump-
what
Trump
Fox
has
Business
passed.
has to say about it?
Let's go for it. Let's start with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, let's do that.
Fox Business is going to give us a little bit of
Of course, let's
knowledge here.
Let's
Just
see
launched
them.
a new
Yeah.
AI model to rival OpenAI, and it is called DeepSeek. It's raising questions about US dominance in artificial intelligence. Matt hasn't always been looking at this. But first of all, what exactly does DeepSeek do?
Yeah, absolutely, Stu. So it's an AI model and has a corresponding chatbot like ChatGPT of OpenAI, and it has significantly narrowed the gap between the US and China when it comes to artificial intelligence. DeepSeek is the brainchild of a small group of researchers working for a Chinese hedge fund manager that have been able to produce technology that is on par with OpenAI and Google, even though those companies are sinking billions of dollars and years into development. Meanwhile, DeepSeek did it for cheaper in a couple of months with fewer chips. So on January 20th, DeepSeek introduced R1.
Yep.
This is an AI model that reasons, so it can do complex problem solving. It thinks through the problem, essentially. Silicon Valley advisor to President Trump, Mark Andrews,
Ryan.
said, quote, DeepSeek R1 is
Don't
one of the
tell
most
Megan what to
amazing and
do.
impressive breakthroughs I've ever seen.
Only
it's also
I
open source.
can tell
DeepSeek
Megan
said
what
training
to
one of its
do.
latest models
All right?
costs just $5.6 million. Compare that to the $100 million that Anthropic used last year. As a result, tech stocks dipping today. You see them all in the red there. DeepSeek's AI model has raised serious questions about American dominance in the space. It has rattled chip
Maybe,
stocks
Megan.
because DeepSeek
Megan.
claims to have used just around 2,000 NVIDIA chips to train its V3 model. Compare that to the tens of thousands of chips used for U.S. models. But there are also questions
Yeah.
around whether China is underreporting how much money and how much computing power they're using. Skepticism
Probably.
from Elon Musk as well. He says that there's no way they're able to do it with this amount of chips. DeepSeek's latest flagship model V3 also won't answer political questions about China or Xi Jinping. And this is likely a similar setup to TikTok, right? When we talk about that issue. The concern there is that information used is sent to their servers in China. But this is an important distinction I want to get to. Because DeepSeek is open source, essentially it means that developers in the US can use the code and programming locally on their computers if they have enough computing power. So that means that you can run it here without this concern of American data being sent to China. So the biggest concern is the eroding American share of the AI market. We are unseating US dominance in the space. And I think we saw quickly a full screen. It's risen in the charts in terms of US use, so much so that people are having issues accessing DeepSeek today because of how many downloads it has.
It's like a pivotal moment, isn't it?
Incredibly, there you have it. Incredibly pivotal. We are so far ahead of China before this news that we were just miles, and now we're not. And then there's, as you've been mentioning throughout the morning, the concerns around how much money does this actually take? Because we've been investing so much money, infrastructure, power, and China, DeepSeek, is claiming that they've really slashed that. So how does that work?
It's fascinating.
Oh man, what are we gonna do?
No, for real.
What are
Okay.
we gonna do?
Are you? Do you want to pull up my latest video? I actually kind of go over this a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you go to my channel, it's my market video. I put this out literally like 24 hours ago. It's a
Trump's terrifying first. No, that's your.
no. That's my live
That's
stream right
your-
now.
The market is about to tank.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, I think I saw. I watched this, but
Me
we'll watch it
later.
again. Let's do it.
We restricted China's access to good computer chips. There's no way they could have done this with such mediocre chips.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is be a quick video. I didn't want to do any editing. I just want to get this video out as quick as possible. It's January 26th. Markets open up tomorrow, Monday, January 27th, and they are going to crash. Why is it going to crash? The AI bubble has very likely popped. It's been a very it's been a very eventful week for a whole lot of reasons. And if you watch this channel, you know that I don't really do much in terms of economic coverage, which I honestly should do more of. You come here for the live streams. You come here for the Left Coast or my videos
Left
and all that,
Coast
hopefully.
Live.
Anyway, so the Nasdaq is probably going to fall off a cliff tomorrow because of a
And it
new
did.
AI put out by China called DeepSeek.
Can you pause it real quick?
Now, I'm going to show you a couple tweets.
Yeah, China put out an AI model called DeepSeek, and $1 trillion were lost in the stock market today. And
Just because of this.
yes, yep. Apparently more than that. Apparently more. But yeah, go ahead.
Here in a video that basically go over the gist of how DeepSeek is just so much cheaper, and way more efficient than the American tech that we have here. It has been my belief for a long time now that AI is overinflated, overhyped. There's way too much money being pumped into it by tech oligarchs and billionaires. It's just another new shiny thing to get investors interested and just dump billions into, despite it not being worth that much at all. And I think we're about to see the consequences of this play out before us. Now, let me go ahead and make myself smaller.
And we have
Spinels at my feet.
$1
Okay.
trillion
All right, so,
plus.
As you guys might have found
Gone.
out, or maybe no
Gone.
news, earlier this week, Stargate, a $500 billion AI project, was unveiled by Donald Trump and will exclusively and only serve OpenAI. Now, if you don't know about OpenAI, they actually there's a whistleblower that was actually
so much money.
killed not too long ago, I think a month or so ago, for spilling secrets about them and how they've been massively breaking copyright law, among other things. But yeah, this is according to the Financial Times. If you guys haven't seen that unveiling video of Stargate, I think it was like day 2 or day 3 of Trump taking office. It was an announcement made by him, as well as Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, I think some other guy. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head currently. But $500 billion for an AI infrastructure project. And what have we got for groceries and eggs and gas and whatnot so far? I think jack squat. So that says a whole lot about the priorities of this new tech feudalism reality that's going to be implemented by the Trump administration's second term. But
Don't worry, Ryan.
I wonder
We
how
still
fruitful
see
that's
you.
going to turn out, because
We still
China
appreciate
releasing
you.
DeepSeek a day after
Make sure you
this is
tune into
hilarious.
our next live streams.
And posted by the serfs, responding to, who is this guy? I don't know.
Can you pause here real quick?
So not only is
There are many AI companies. I think once more comes out on this real or fake, it won't be so much. That's actually wrong. There are potentially dozens, if not hundreds, of AI startups that have to shut down because of this fucking innovation by China. Because DeepSeek exists now, and AI can be powered by such less money and lower power than a U.S. Companies like OpenAI, ChatGPT, etc. This is like why the fuck would anybody invest in those companies for billions when this Chinese company DeepSeek can be invested in for like maybe it's just like a few million? But go ahead. More
OpenAI
explain about this.
It uses a fraction of the energy, but only costs $6 million, and they gave it away for free. All of Silicon Valley has been lying to the world to justify billions of taxpayer dollars, our money, being burnt on U.S. NVIDIA chips while needing to crash power grids. It was
That's right,
all
Alex.
a lie. And I'm telling you, once the markets open up, you're going to see it tank. You're going to see NASDAQ crash, especially. I'm actually going to
Which
show you
happened.
guys a clip that goes a bit more over the DeepSeek AI thingamajig, and yeah, let's take a look.
About those new Chinese AI models called DeepSeek, because the story is pretty insane. You know, if you want to build powerful AI models, you need powerful AI chips. And there's basically one company that produces them, and it's an American company called NVIDIA. Now, since those
NVIDIA.
chips are so vital today, the US government prohibits
Yeah.
NVIDIA from selling those chips to Chinese companies. So you might be thinking, well, how the hell did they manage then to create a model that is more powerful than OpenAI's?
More powerful than OpenAI. Just think about how just think about how prominent OpenAI and ChatGPT has been for the last year plus, and just how many billions upon billions of dollars in investment money has just been thrown at all of this stuff. It's so prominent. It's everywhere. We didn't ask for this. The consumers didn't ask for this to be in
Stealing
all
chips?
the software,
I don't
all
know
the
about that,
new
Megan.
phones, on social media. It's so prevalent, and nobody asked for it. But
If you
we're
can
gonna continue
provide
here.
a bit
Listen
more
to this.
information on that,
That's where it gets
I
interesting.
appreciate that.
So they could put that is more powerful than OpenAI's. That's where it gets interesting. So they could put their hands on a very limited number of NVIDIA chips, but not enough to create a powerful model. So what they did is they made some insane technical innovation to make training of those models extremely more efficient, which means that they use like 1/100th of the resources that OpenAI or Microsoft or Google use to create AI models. But you know what is even more insane? It's a huge F off to a lot of American companies. They created those amazing AI models and then they open source them, which means that
They open source these models.
they told the world, hey, not only I will tell you exactly how we did this so you can do this again, we're also going to give you the output. We're going to give you the code of these AI models so you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
Which basically means that now the value of a lot of OpenAI models has gone down a lot because there's a free alternative that is better.
Yes. So this right here is going to be the catalyst for a major market correction. And even my dad was saying how this is probably going to lead to a domino effect, because keep in mind, a lot of economists, a lot of experts that have been following the economy for a while. Are we going to make a soft landing? Are we going to avoid a
Dude,
recession?
you're fucking
post
funny as
pandemic?
fuck.
But it didn't matter who was going to take office. A major correction was going to come, and this might be the trigger for all of it. He's saying it might be comparable to the dot-com bubble that led to a recession.
China is innovating like crazy. And by the way, since this idea that this specific Chinese company that you're watching this video from might be banned, I think maybe it's a good idea to start following the people who give you value also on the social media platforms. So if you want to keep following me in case this goes out, that's my Instagram where I keep posting AI content as well. And maybe also some personal stories. So that might be something fun as well to check out. Peace.
Yeah, so this is a major deal, and I think more and more people should be aware of it, so you know exactly how to approach this sort of thing. And I mean, you reap what you sow, right? You lie so much about this hot new commodity that you want so much investment money in, but really you're over exaggerating the value of it. You're inflating the value of it, and
Not the
China
first
just
No, of course not
basically
the first time.
laid it all out like, oh, you're entirely full of shit. And the market's going to respond to that, and I guess we'll find out tomorrow just how damaging it's going to be, because
apparently it's been pretty
this
damaging.
might be the thing that pushes us over the edge into a recession, because this is going to affect a lot of industries that have not only invested money in AI but have ties to AI generally.
No, honestly, no, because okay, Braven. So the only thing, the thing about that is, Dieter hasn't seen that video yet. I put it out last night. But yeah, no, absolutely though, you're completely correct, because that whole entire video came to fruition. Like $1 trillion fucking dollars just gone, just disappeared just like that, because so many investors put all their money into Nvidia
Yeah.
and these AI companies that were like, this is the shiny new toy. This is the biggest and best thing. This is gonna change the world. And of course, that didn't come to be because China just showed everybody the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too bad Nvidia wasn't the
Okay,
messiah
Megan.
of technology, right?
No, for real, Megan. I fucking appreciate you so fucking much. Have yourself a cig. Take yourself to bed. Talk to you
We're
tomorrow.
gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, yeah. This is pretty much the
Well,
last. of the
why don't
stream.
we comment? Well, I guess we're going to live Wednesday, and we've got 2 weeks to discuss
If
it. but-
if that works for you, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, no,
I'm
but I
definitely down
wanted
for
to
Wednesday.
I wanted to touch on the results of the NFL games this weekend because while the Eagles
illegals are
just
illegals
destroyed-
are.
What?
Just to respond to Megan, you're mad.
Oh, sure.
You're mad. Private companies also gamble. We're not mad at money's going to illegals. Just saying. I mean, these private companies have fucking like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to fucking dispose, whereas illegals have fucking nothing. So like, of course, I'm going to fucking. There's going to be a fucking difference in my tone approaching.
Yeah,
these-
Megan, we're
these
pro UBI here. Like we want,
Of course,
we
like
want
I,
a nice.
I
we
think
want
like at this point, I think Andrew Yang was ahead of his fucking time. Like when it came to when it came to 2022, especially, the indices that he proposed, aside from GDP to measure the health of an economy, the health of a society and shit. Yeah, and the UBI is essential for that shit. Yeah, so like, it's gonna be a very interesting next 4 years, so long as
no, Megan, we're not mad when U.S. taxpayers lose their gamble. I mean, no, we're not. This is the
No.
market. This is
No,
the
for
market
real.
working. This is
Yes,
the market
this
working.
is how it
right?
works.
yeah.
It's-
Well, yeah.
yeah.
We're not. We're not suggesting that this is anything else other than comeuppance. This is
For real, like you overinflate and overvalue a fucking commodity that is so entrenched in so much tech nowadays. It's a bubble that's going to pop. And
well, that's one thing you can learn from Judaism and Christianity, which is don't worship false gods because we worship the false god of the tech billionaire. Like,
no,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
and
just-
they're all surrounding Trump. Like,
Yeah.
and that's how it's going to be for the next fucking 4 years plus, because these fucking tech feudalism, these fucking oligarchs want to be gods, and they think that they like the power to like obtain what they want is through kowtowing and capitulating to the fucking president of the United States, who is so fucking sensitive to whoever it is that can stroke his fucking ego, whether it's a fucking like the tech
Like a child.
oligarchs,
Like a
or-
child.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fucking child. You make him feel fucking smart. You make him feel good about himself. He'll do whatever the fuck. Honestly, it goes beyond the fucking tech oligarchs of Silicon Valley, or Larry Ellison, or Sam Altman, or whoever the fuck. Like Putin fucking understands this. Putin 100% understands this shit.
No, Putin's a bright guy.
No,
Putin's
yeah.
Putin's a very evil. He's one
Yeah.
of those evil. He's one of those evil genius types.
Yeah.
He just has no morals. That's the thing about like good versus evil is that good, it requires a lot more complex of an effort to win when you're on the side of good, because evil, they have so many weapons at their disposal. They can lie, cheat, and steal and pit people against each other. I mean, that's
Mhm.
it's like, oh, Trump's so brilliant. Well, no, Trump's not brilliant. He's just shameless. And he says and does things that he just doesn't give a shit about the rules. And he
Yeah.
doesn't care about decorum. He doesn't care about what the norms of political discourse are. And that's emblematic of people thinking that the system is broken. They say, well,
Yeah.
let's throw a Molotov cocktail of a human being into the system and see if it gets any better. And it didn't. It got worse. And we voted him back in. Because our
Right.
addiction is white trash ignorance.
It really is.
Um,
Yeah, to end this off, yeah, Alex says the terrorists are trying to limit their technology. Yeah, it's fairly new. I'm sure that the U.S. will learn and bounce back into the race. Yes, but a shitload of money is going to be lost.
Yeah.
That's for goddamn sure. It's gonna be embarrassing for goddamn sure because the what China did with the open source technology, it put the U.S. in its place. It's gonna take a minute, but like the fact that they tried to make AI seem like it was way more valuable than it is going to play a big part in this. Raven T says
the market overvaluing something. Wow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Imagine that.
No, for real.
Imagine
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for real. Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, do you have any parting words? You can have the last word if you want. I'm ready to sign off.
That's for it. Like, we didn't even cover half of Trump's executive orders for the week, but I mean,
Yeah, we're coming back Wednesday. We're coming back
We'll
Wednesday.
come back Wednesday. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see everybody who's here right now as we sign off there on Wednesday. Come say hi. We really look forward to it, and we'll see within these next couple of days, I guess, just how much worse it gets.
For StatPat, I am Dieter McBusiness, reminding you that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. So
Everybody's-
Democrats, stop asking nicely.
For fuck's sake. Yeah, of course.